All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin, and today we got a interesting episode. We'll be veering off of the beaten track or path, shall we? But we'll do some NASCAR to start the episode as we usually do. I think the outcome. I think we covered a potential for this outcome. I'll have a little bit more to say on it, just because it's on me really for not having more outreach into the community, or like making a community post with what I found, because I could have helped other people, and maybe other people would have caught a better glimpse of this week, because I did have some things for this potentiality of Elliott winning, and I just got busy and never posted it. But we'll go over those things, and we'll talk about what it means, and also what it means going into next week, where we have the bye week, and then like you've mentioned before, right back into another 201 track. So we go from 201 track to a bye week to another 201 track. So practically 3 weeks of sitting in 201 town, and we'll talk about what that means. Of course, Elliott winning at a 201 track is no surprise. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then I have a couple other musings, really, of some things that are in pop culture and things of that nature that I just want to quickly bring up and pick your guys' brains about what you think about it or what you know about it. I know a lot of these things have been covered by not only Zach, but Rich as well. But like I said, I've been quite busy, so I haven't been able to really be as much of a part of those live streams that I would prefer to be. But then to cap off the episode, we do have a further, I guess it's not really an announcement as much as more of it is, like you called it, maybe like a sort of more like a mission statement or a call to action kind of at the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, without further ado, I'll send it down to the desk, sports desk. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep, sending her down to Chad Little for 329, going on 429. I know Jamie Little will be ready with the microphone somewhere, but
she always is.
Michael Jordan will be there too, but unreal. 329 already. Almost the start of the new year is almost here, and I got a feeling it's going to have a massive impact when it starts here on Wednesday, because like I said, we've been really looking at the schedule right now, and it's big time. We got 4 or 5 coming up next Sunday. That should be a very interesting episode next Sunday. Ritual's 81 too, so that's kind of interesting how that lines up. But no NASCAR next week, like you said. Sandwiched, big Oreo sandwich of the 201. We got Martinsville and Bristol on 412. So next week should be very interesting to see what comes of that episode. But other than that, been another quick week. Definitely feeling better, but kind of more so just kind of started kind of feeling better, I guess, maybe today. Yesterday I was still kind of hacking and wheezing a bit and stuff. Still am a little bit. I'm definitely not 100%, but definitely better than what I was last week and when I started to get sick the other week. So hopefully it's done and gone, because I mean it's been like a month and a half of being like sick so far this calendar year. Like about half of it I've spent sick, so it's kind of been pretty annoying when you're down that long, and it just kind of starts to ruin your life. So I just hopefully the frustration there has ended. But other than that, I mean, with spring pretty much on the new year about here, it's been pretty interesting. And even like the flooding at my place this week was actually pretty bad. Maybe even worse than what it was back in December. The water was like probably even higher than it was then. And I mean, there's been massive logs floating around, but the thing is, back in December, the water was clean. Now it got like all dirty, and there's like nasty stuff in there. There's like water bottles and pollution, and it's kind of destroying the whole ecosystem. And it's just there's been like logs have been like floating up by the bridge and they're going back and they're like floating up and going back. So it's just kind of been mayhem out there. And the water level did go down a little bit. It probably went down a foot or two. I've been watching the sign on the bridge and it was up to the sign. Now it's like maybe a foot or two beneath that, but it's still very flooded. It's still pretty bad. And, I don't know what the situation there is going to be. Is it going to go away, get better? Is it going to get worse? What's it to watch for the future? So I just think that's, the weather's been, I mean, we've had some kind of decent days, some pretty solid days this week. Weather and temperature wise, it's just, we had this was us getting the car to come on. There was like a big storm coming through, a big hailstorm and like windstorm. And just driving here, the car was all over the road. There was hail coming down. It was rain and just it's hard to really predict anything with what anything's going to be. So I mean, there's no saying we're still going to get a snowstorm here in April or May, so you don't really know. You're never really out of it with the weather warfare. But other than that, feeling better. And hopefully with April and the real year getting ready to start here, hopefully we're getting a big momentum swing of some sorts coming in. You can pretty much feel it. I don't know, there's just it's been this weird vibe, this weird energy in the air just lately, but hopefully it's all pending and going in the right direction. It's a lot to be excited about, and there are other things, but like you said, we'll have a pretty good discussion about things tonight and kind of wrap up the episode with some pretty good thoughts stuff. I had a pretty interesting week, and just things are happening so fast, and definitely a lot to talk about with all that and everyone else and everything else that's been going on. But it should be a pretty great discussion. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much it for the opener for me. We had the big 201 race today, and Mr. Chase. You're chasing the Elliott got it done.
Yeah, he sure did. Like I said, I'm kind of kicking myself a little because I took for recent weeks is actually a decent amount of notes. Normally, I haven't been able to get to too many notes, but usually when I take notes, there's a lot more, or I'll be, I guess you could say chasing certain narratives more than others, and I'll go down the rabbit hole a little bit more. But on this one, it was just kind of like ancillary notes. But interestingly enough, let's see if I can bring this up. So these are the notes I had. I noticed that it was 322 days since Larson's last win. From Blaney's last birthday was 88 days later. The race today is the 88th day of the year, so I thought that was interesting. That being said, Shane equals 88. We've talked about this last year. Of course, he drove the 88 car last year. Now Zilich is in the 88 car. So I just, put those as notes. I didn't find things in the like birthday numerology or things of that nature. But also we talked about this. Van Gisbergen's another 201 guy. His surname equals 201, and 60, like Martinsville. And he did have a good race too. He almost finished in the top 10, and he was in the top 10 the entire race. So even the top 5. So he was, and which is so funny because they just wrote this like major article about him, about how he is like the problem child of NASCAR. It's like he's going to be winning ovals anytime now. And now you're going to start. It's just like, bro, what? Oh man, you guys must have just been catching up with our podcast from last year, because this is what we've been saying. But anyway, but really it gets interesting here is where I noticed, this is where my first mention of Chase Elliott is. Well, the only mention, but it keeps going. But I noticed that from Jeff Gordon's birthday to the race was 129 days later, and Chase Elliott equals 129. That's 201 in base 8 counting. And from the race to this is the other note I took, was potential for Denny Hamlin. I was looking into Denny Hamlin, his father's death and everything. I just didn't see any connections with this race. But then I also noticed on the same lane as the Elliott thing is that from Rick Hendrick's birthday to to the race was 260 days, just like Hendrick Motorsports equals 260. And then the last thing I wrote was about how Kyle Miardeloshin, obviously, we talk about this all the time. He's one of the major 201 guys in Martinville, have the 201 connection. And I just said, good day for Hendrick to pick up a win. I just wish I posted some of these notes. Like that could have maybe somebody else would have been on the fence about it and just potentially didn't see that connection with Hendrick or Gordon. I'm not saying these are major, like it's a major decode or anything. It's just, man, I was pretty much I was 50-50 to pick or I guess no, 33% to pick a win. I didn't look at Byron per se, but as far as people I looked at, I just wish I posted that for anybody that was on the fence. I know Joseph in the emails, I wish he would have been able to see it because he had some great notes that he sent through the email, which things that added up still for sure, and aren't necessarily dead ends either. They're things that still, like, next race win and that race number, or that win number and things of that nature. So those still have their time in the sun to play out. But yeah, he probably could have benefited from a couple of these notes to key in on things. I know he has. I don't know he has more time to do it or more time, but I know he has some time to look into those things. So I'm sure that could have helped. But yeah, I'm kicking myself that I didn't make a little community post or something like I intend to and want to do when I do a decode. I'm not saying that's going to be anything great, but it's better out there than in. It's kind of like anyway. But yeah, I wish I would have said something about that because I would have been, I had some decent insight there, and it ended up being a Chase Elliott win, which is kind of, I don't know what Vegas paid for Elliott. I know he was polled 10th. And Byron did have a top 5 finish too. So I think he was a beneficiary of something that happened late because I know he got caught up in the wreck and things of that nature, but he ended up having a great finish. And like I said, Gisbergen, he was top 5, 6 a lot of the race. Only fell out of the top 10 just right at the end, like the last maybe 15 laps, 20 laps, maybe.
Yeah, qualified 5th. I mean, and it was, Hamlin dominated the race. I looked at the highlights and stuff, but yeah, Hamlin dominated, and then really Elliott really wasn't a factor all race. Like he was like a 10th place car. Like Ginsburg was probably the best Chevy all race. Well, Byron probably, but probably Byron and Ginsburg are probably the best 2 Chevys all race. Like Elliott really didn't do anything. He just got up there with a pit stop late. Like he got a pit stop and gained some ground late, and then got up there and then got the lead, and then that was it. So it was just it's just kind of more strategy than anything, just kind of getting up there at the end. But yeah, for the whole race, he wasn't even a factor. I mean, he was probably a 10th place car, maybe not even, maybe top 10 at best, 9th or 10th or something. But really, it was all Toyota and Ford. I mean, Denny dominating. There was Ty Gibbs up there the whole race, top 5. Logano was up in the top 5, top 10 all race. Same thing with Blaney and William Byron, probably the best Chevy up in the top 5, top 10, and Austin Cindric, he was really good. He was up there all race too, top 5, top 10. I mean, that's just how it was all race. It was just all Toyota and Ford. I mean, there wasn't anyone else. Barry, I know he was doing really good too. He was up in the top 5, top 10 all race. He qualified well too. So it was just really the same. Christopher Bell's he hung up there, but it's pretty much the same people all race. I mean, there really wasn't a lot going on. Chase got shuffled up there in the end with the pit stop and pit cycle, and he got up there. But yeah, and too, I mean, I guess I know a lot of part of the narrative too is they got to give Chevy the win because Chevy hasn't won all year, and then you're going into the off week and Chevy hasn't won, so you got to give Chevy the win for the off week and keep things a little interesting. Other than that, it's been an extremely boring season. I mean, it's just been. We've never had a season like this where it's just been this much domination. So it's kind of interesting how they did it. And there was, the Hamlin with the 61 2 weeks ago with, the everything else, aligning for that 61 and that win. I didn't see anything there for a really 62, but just wonder if they're going to, just give him that again. But I mean, it makes sense. They went with Chase Elliott. Could mean that, maybe they're going to go Kyle Larson, the other 201 for Bristol or something. So maybe Chase Elliott wins again, or I don't know, but it's kind of, I kind of see why they gave, Chevy and Chase the win. They got to have some kind of feel good story going into the off week and then come back to 201. So is that going to just, is it going to be another Elliott win? Is it going to be a Byron win? Is it going to be, Bristol is in Tennessee, so you can't count out Byron there.
Byron. Absolutely. I was going to make a point of mentioning that.
You can't count him out. So if we got some big news, something goes down in this week or next week, we know where we're going. But just watching the Bill Lee, got to pay attention to Bill Lee, so see what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, it might be a Larson win finally, or maybe not, or maybe Elliott again, or maybe Byron. Or it should be interesting to see what they do. Is Chevy going to start winning now? Because I mean, like I said, I mean, even in the race, I mean, Chevy they weren't doing good. They weren't competitive. I mean, it was all Toyota and Ford. So it's just kind of like, well, we got to get a Chevy win in here, so let's just sneak it in here. Now's the time to give Elliott his win. So that's kind of basically what I saw at this one, but. Yeah, I think the other 201, I think Bristol will be a bit more exciting, hopefully, a bit more, I don't know, just, it's just been this total domination, really, too, this year with the races. I mean, there really hasn't been much. It's like if you qualify first or up front, it's like you're just going to lead, like, all the race, too, and dominate. So it's not been really super exciting racing, but maybe Bristol in 2 weeks will be different.
Yeah, good point, man. I had like a rebuttal to something you were saying, and now I'm like just reading this. I'm like, is AI doing the headlines too? Maybe you can. Chase Elliott finds outlasts Denny Hamlin for thrilling. What does that mean? Chase Elliott finds outlasts Denny Hamlin for thrilling Martinsville victory. Was it? Just come on, guys. Come on. Yike.
He found the outlast.
I don't even know what they're going for there, but yeah, absolutely. I almost think that maybe the most exciting thing they could do is let SVG get a win there, but that's if they're going for excitement, because that's not what they have been doing. I was going to make one other mention too, because I didn't look into this, but if at least you can always fall back on the O'Reilly series if you want some variance. Oh wait, no, you can't, because the same guys are winning every week there too. Algier won his third race this season already, so they're not. It's not even any different down there. They're just doing the same shit, and for whatever reason, they didn't update this at all. At least on the opening thing. It later you can look at it and it says who wins down the way. Or when I had to look into it, but yeah, it just didn't update this. We had this happen a couple times last year too.
This race was highlighted last year for that reason, because it was on your National Tennessee Day. They didn't want us looking into it, so we didn't, they had no information on it. So I thought that was interesting, but yeah, and that's the thing too. Talking about SVG, because April 2026, it equals 322, and it also equals 97. And then the Vatican did just turn 97, so might be a win or two for SVG in April. I mean, and we talk about the Glen coming up there May 10th. That's going to be a very interesting race. Had that one circled a while with that Glen in there, so that's one I got to think goes to SVG. But I mean, I could be wrong, but that's gonna be a very, and I like that Talladega race. That Talladega race, April 26th, SVG. That could be the breakthrough race, I think.
Hard to not, I mean, obviously he could not, but the day after his birthday,
going to the Glen, baby. We got
the Glen. I don't know. Yeah, along with the 97s you brought up, that's a great point. That's what I was going to say. Because we talk about we could sit here all day long and talk about the numbers behind the races and things of that nature, but we also like to cover like what they do with the narrative. And you made a very good point that you made a good point in saying that they give Chevy a win going into this off week, because that's understanding that we are paying attention to what they do with these narratives. Like, it's not arbitrary that they do these things. We were talking about consolation races all season last year, because we were able to spot what they were able to do for certain teams or garages or things as little consolation prizes and consolation races for them. Well, this is like a little consolation week for Chevy fans or Hendrick fans or Jeff Gordon fans going into a week where they're not going to have a race. So, as far as ratings go, they want to keep the ratings, and not to mention it in this. For that, they will have a bunch of stories being whipped up, right? Like, I guarantee you, this is like the busiest their AI has had to work. I would normally say, the people at Sports Center or whatever, but I think just from their opening headline, it's pretty clear that the AI is writing their headlines too. But yeah, I'm sure that their servers are working nonstop to pump out a bunch of retarded stories to keep people invested in reading and paying attention to NASCAR for the week that they're not here. And yeah, it's important to kind of point that out, that this win is kind of convenient to come for Chevy right before a bye week. This is going to give them rather than sit there. It'll change the dynamic from, they'll be saying, I can already hear it. They'll be talking about how, we thought we were going into this break, without even having a Chevy win so far. And, that's just unlike it. But now they'll be able to say, but look at them. They get, they're off the schneid. It's just, you can tell that these are all little cogs turning to fuel these specific narratives that they have set in place. And I'm not saying a narrative as in like the script unveiled before, it's like they know the script, that the script is like the producers and directors know that firsthand. The actors, they just get the call like day of the race. Not saying that that's necessarily true, but in this scenario, and for us, for the people that are fans of the sport, they're going to get this contrived end result. It's going to be a rendition of what the script is, but it's all to fuel these narratives that will push you towards certain alleyways come time you make those bets for Vegas, or, a lot of it has to do with money moving. Of course, we've talked about that, but I think we are all to the point now where we understand that sports is an energy harvest, and whether or not they're actually harvesting the energy, it's one thing. It's like entropy. It's, at least they know that energy is not going towards investigating what they're doing and trying to bring them to justice, or trying to shine a light on what they're doing, the wrongdoings they're doing. They know the energy is just going into, oh damn, man, I got a future out for Gibbs, man. I got a future, that they're stuck on those types of things. And rather than, ever, those kinds of people are going to be the hardest possible hard-headed people to convince, not only to stop doing what they're doing, but to, join the other team. Those people are pretty much locked in, unfortunately, really unfortunately, because what I found too is like, it is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate how the certain demographic of people that they target to be hardcore sports fans, it's like, man, we need those people. Those people have like unbridled passion for stuff. And if it just mattered, if the stuff they had passion for just mattered, they could convict, just think about it. It's an addiction. It's just like any other addiction. They're addicted to something, but it's like, it's not real. It's just it's a hobby. So if they could put that time and passion towards something that mattered, oh my gosh. I mean, that could go for anything, but especially the sports community, because I mean, just look at the age range. I'm talking about people from that are like, 20 to 35, it's just like, yeah, we could use those people, especially with what's coming. We talk about this all the time. It'd be great to, by the end of this, when we finally make our final stand in March, it's like it's like each able-bodied person is going to be having to push a wheelchair because like that's going to be our ranks. Our ranks are going to be like, half 25 to 30 and the other half 75 to 90. It's just like shit. It's like it's great. I'm glad you're here, but it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough when they stick the robot dogs on us. I don't know how far I'm going to be able to push you there, Rupert. I'm sorry, buddy. I might just have to leave you here at some point. Anyway, I don't know. It's a funny thought in my head. But yeah, the bullshit definitely ramping up narrative wise for a week off, and just wait until they get their stories. I know you're going to have something to talk about here very shortly, which is something we expounded upon last year, almost jokingly, maybe not last year, not last year, but since you've been doing your uncovering work, especially with the, of course, the Chad Little and things of that nature, and the things we've uncovered, like, live, right? Like we were looking into it and found these interesting things. And then we like not built a narrative, but we like kind of uncovered a narrative that it's not clear that it's the narrative, but we were just like, this is very interesting. Look at this. There's a pattern emerging. And then just wait, guys. Just wait until what they go ahead and tell you right to your face. You'll be like, that's very similar to what they were saying without, having access to the script. So yeah, you might as well go ahead with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking last week. We had episode 79, NASCAR Nirvana, and we're going back and looking at when they said that, April 8th, 2001, and that may have been a minute. And whether they were mocking you in the 90s or early 2000s or any time from then to now, everything we've been talking about, I mean, and like I really said last week, I mean, I really do hope people are, appreciating all these connections, from Chad Little to Kurt Busch to Kurt Cobain to, I mean, like you said last week, you said it perfectly. I don't know who's connecting Kurt Vonnegut and Chad Little in 2026. I mean, Chad Little and Kurt Vonnegut in 2026. I mean, that's amazing. Kurt Russell, all these Kurts just connected. And, yeah, and this is something I found, I can't remember when I saw this. It was this week at some point. And I said it to you as well, but there was you look up, Michael Jordan and, of course, Jamie Little. We've talked about her, Jamie Little, April 9th birthday, 47 years old. We're talking about her last week because she had the interview with Michael Jordan. But you really look up what it says. She's the Michael Jordan whisperer, they call her, and the Michael Jordan go-to. So, with all these connections, we're talking about Michael Jordan and Chad Little, and Chad Little and Michael Jordan they're sitting around and they got all this planned out, working together. Who's Michael Jordan's whisperer? Who gets them? Who knows how to find them? Who's the go-to there? Well, that's going to be Jamie Little. So you see how they have this all ready to go. You don't just have Michael Jordan at the race. You have Jamie Little right there, all tied up with it, ready to go, and literally. I think I literally just went to images, and I think this is where it popped up when
there we go. Yeah, it was the front office sports though. They all are saying it though. You're right. There's a bunch of them saying Michael Jordan whisperer, Michael Jordan whisperer.
Yeah, the Michael Jordan go-to, the Michael Jordan go-to, whisper. Yeah, it's just
quite funny. And that's kind of what, if you guys have been following us, you'll know, not only the great overall body of work that you're doing with Chad Little and Kurt Busch, and the list goes on, but these intangible things that we've kind of noticed and like clung to and been like, oh, that's very interesting. Obviously, you brought up the Jamie Little connection, and I think that was kind of not in passing per se, because you did notice the obvious connection. We even went and looked at them, and we were like, well, they look similar, and there's interesting things with them. If you guys followed us, this would have been a few weeks back at some point. Not sure of the exact episode we brought this connection up, but we were since then, now we have a Tyler Reddick, 4 out of I guess how many races has it been now?
4 out of 7. He's 4 for 7.
So yeah, 4 races this year, and every race there's Jamie Little interviewing Michael Jordan, who just happens to be there, and and it's all the while we're doing, you're doing this extensive work on Chad Little. We're obviously talking about how Chad Little is on the Rules Commission, who just sided in Michael Jordan's team's favor in the offseason with that. And now now Michael Jordan's making the circuit too, saying that no matter what happened, he was going to relentlessly sue NASCAR until he won. Have you seen that? It's just crazy. So it's just like
going off.
Yeah. So, there's a conflict of interest in my opinion, to be sure. And if we only knew the intimate, the actual details, or at least it looks like they're trying to tell us is there is an obvious relation here, and they're using this Jamie Little character as an in-between, whether or not she is actually related in some way. That's, something that's, I'm not going to sit here and say, this person is that person, or it's not that kind of connection. It's more of the mockery that we talk about on a, weekly basis. And it's just so funny when you get those little sprinkles of vindication, because we were sitting here noticing the mockery, weeks ago with the Chad and Jamie Little connection. And now do they have to get out in front of it? Because we're pointing it out, so now they just have to be like, "Oh no, this is us." She is just, she's the connection to Jordan. She's right at his hip. She's connected at the hip. They say. I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah, it's like she's the scapegoat. We've been. I think it was episode 68 I brought up. I can't remember. It was like 68 or 69 or 67 or 70, where I talked about Jamie Little. We went through her. We did the gematria on her. We looked her up, and yeah, I remember her too. Back when I used to watch NASCAR too. She's been in it for a while, and she's got to be the same age as Kurt Busch, 47. You got to have that April 9th birthday, like Chad Little's April 29th. So yeah, and like I said, they're like the same height. They're like 5'10". They have they look the same. It's just the connections are there. The name is there, and everything we were talking about, and here it is unfolding. I mean, it's literally, it's never been more of that, and obviously, the more Michael Jordan, the more he goes off, Chad Little's a lawyer, so the more he's going to go off. So he's getting the overtime hours here too. So, and then you got the scapegoat, Jamie Little, get in the middle with the distraction here, trying to, make sure you don't see all the connections. But we've seen right through it. Now they're literally telling you she's the whisperer. She's the go-to.
Absolutely. And you just, nailed it pretty much. Absolutely. And, we'll see where this goes. We've obviously talked about the potential now that it's a different format, what it could end with by the end of the season. This might all be fluff for the beginning of the season to cause, some people might not find it exciting at all, but it's kind of like what happens in basketball too. It's like at the beginning of the season, it was all the Thunder, and the Spurs were doing all right, but mid-season to now, it's all Wembanyama, the alien, Area 51. It's all, and now they have this intense rivalry to use for the end of the season. I would assume they're going to do something similar with NASCAR. They didn't do that so much last year. It was last year it seemed very interesting how they wanted to play the whole NASCAR thing, but that's also because it was in a different format as well. That was a much different format. This is a much more crescendo building format that they'll be able to build this as the season goes. Like whereas last year, down to the last race, if you just win, you're just in the playoffs all of a sudden. So it's just like you could have been Suarez, you could have been anybody that got into the race the last race. Whereas this one, you have to be somewhere by 16 races left to go, or whatever, 10 whatever it is, 10 races left to go, whatever it is. Oh yeah, 10 races left. So you can see how they might want to, control that those what am I trying to say? The rivalries and things of that nature to have like compelling storylines and stuff like that. And right now there really is no compelling storyline when you're just, I mean, it's not a blowout. Honestly, I think what you'll find too is like, because this could even be a topic at the end of the season, to find that because Tyler Reddick wasn't winning stages, he might have won all those races, but that's going to be a consolation prize because he's not going to finish with the most points because he wasn't winning all the stages. So it might show that, it might give way to a better driver, overall driver, like you were talking about the Winston Cup series and things of that nature would show, or more consistent driver, I should say. So who knows? Maybe that's where they're going with it. Because as far 4 races won so far, and he's only leading by 80 points. That's he has a DNF. He's almost getting tied if it's somebody in the top 5 winning. So you can see how there's a lot of variance and ability for them. And that's not to say he's had a bad season, but just like look at Denny Hamlin. He's led almost 500 laps.
Right.
He's the only one in the top 5. Like, the only one, Chase Elliott now has 100. But before then, it was Tyler Reddick. Naturally, he's won 4 races. But then he'd go Christopher Bell, Keselowski, Larson, all the way down here. But like Denny Hamlin's led 444 laps. This is the guy we called he's the king. He's the linchpin of the narrative. So I'm just not surprising at all that he's led as many laps as he has. 444 is an interesting number as well. Let me just point that out. Yeah, just don't be surprised if by the end of the season we have a completely different winner than where the narrative's pointing right now. Because like I mentioned, might have been last week, 2 weeks ago, that everybody was saying, just give him the trophy now. Just this season's boring and this and all this and that. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but I could find reasonable doubt to say that that's not where they're going to take this by the time this thing wraps up.
Yeah, and today was the first race. He didn't even finish in the top 10. He got 15th, and really wasn't ever. I mean, he was like a top 10 car this race, but really, other than that, wasn't really a factor at all today. But yeah, I mean, with the way that the manipulation is, and the chase format and all the things that they're doing, there's so much to look at with all that, and that's all part of it too. I mean, with the stages and the chase now back to that, but then modified, and the modifications they're using and how they go about doing all this. I mean, it's more ways. It's just more manipulation. You look back at the 90s. You could have you could finish 15th in the standings one year and miss a race. You missed a race, you still finished 15th, and maybe you had some other chance to have good finishes, but you had some DNFs. Next year maybe you just you run all the races. 99. Say you win all. You run every race at 99, but maybe you finish like 22nd or like 23rd in the standing. Like you finished like 7-8 spots, but you ran an extra race. But you weren't as maybe you had those good races. Maybe you just had a lot of bad luck or DNFs or problems. So it's like, even though you still had some great races here and there, you could run, more races and still finish worse than, the season before where you missed a race. But, because of the way consistency was, and the way that the season would unfold. I mean, it was really was more random because you could have two seasons very similar to each other and how you do and how you perform. Maybe one's a little better and one's a little worse, but how everyone else does and how the races unfold and everything, that's what used to make it interesting. That's why the Winston Cup was interesting because, you could be in, 20th in the points with 10 races to go and you could finish 5th in the standings still. I mean, you could still work your way up because other guys still have bad luck and you could go on an absolute tear. Meanwhile, some guy that was sitting 5th was really super consistent last 10 races. They get DNFs, they're blowing up, they have bad luck. They could go from like 5th to 20th. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, back then things, you might have a really close points battle. It might come down to like 4 or 5 people have a shot that are like within 100 points in the last race. You might have a guy who wins it by, a few races because they were just so either dominant or they just were having consistent finishes where everyone else was, having either bad luck or just wasn't. They had DNFs or motor problems, or they weren't able to, keep pace. So you might have that sometimes. So you really never knew what you were getting. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, the way everything's structured now, and you could even argue that the way it's structured now, it's even more manipulated than even having the playoff, the win and you're in system and all that, because with that, you can, obviously, you can move people in. Okay, it's 3 races. These guys are out 3 races. These guys are out 3 races. These guys are out. Okay, here's your final 4. With now, okay, you get these people in the top 16. Now you close the points back up for the last 10, which are, your modified format with everything. But now, I mean, because you did it that way, I mean, you could completely, flip the script there, those last 10 races. So, I mean, where last year, I mean, Kyle Larson wouldn't have won the Winston Cup, but at least he was he was a top 5 candidate to win it. He wouldn't have won the Winston. That would have went to Christopher Bell because Bell had a lot better season than Larson did. But Larson was, he was in the mix. He was in the top 5. But where this year, I mean, you could have somebody who was honestly probably not even supposed to be in the chase, or if you would have kept the Winston Cup format, maybe finished 20th or 25th in the standings, they might go on to win the championship this year with the way you have.
They squeak in the 16.
Yeah, because they got to be in the top 16 for the cutoff. I mean, and then they could have a terrible season, but then with the points close up, they could do really good, really have great luck the last 10 races and, outperform or just be more consistent than everyone else. So, I mean, and it's just like what they're doing with even the horsepower and stuff, 600 and whatever horsepower here, and these are going to be the 750s here, where it used to just be 750, or 800 or 900, the whole season everywhere, trying to, I mean, look at the racing the last 2 weeks with the 750. I mean, was it any more competitive? Was it really any more better? No, it was, it was the same. You couldn't really tell the difference between, the car said just more power. Well, other than that, what really, where's the racing getting better? It's like with the points change, where's that really getting better? Because you could make an argument this year that the guy who wins the championship arguably shouldn't even been competing for the championship. So, or even would have had a shot. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting around that time to see how the manipulation goes. And, you'll see people bounce in the top 16, bounce out the top 16. But, yeah, I mean, when that's all set and they have it all staggered out to whatever it's going to be, and they can totally flip I think it's actually easier to flip it compared to what it was even last year. So, and that's just, especially with the horsepower and everything they're doing. So it's just more manipulation on all fronts, really.
Yeah, I hadn't really necessarily thought about that. I know we talked about it when we first when they finally fully announced that they were, changing, going to the chase format, with some changes. But obviously we mentioned that because we had called that they were going to change the format, even though they promised that they weren't, or whatever the terminology you want, swore they weren't, or said that they weren't, very bluntly. But we were like, no, it's looking like they're going to, and of course they did. couple weeks later, just changed their tune and they're just able to do that kind of thing. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. You're absolutely right. There actually is probably a lot more variance for them to be able to manipulate than even the win and you're in, because especially last year, because that's what I was saying was so weird about last year is that you had so like very few, the spread of winners was so small just because just imagine, no one won more than one race last season. That would have been some crazy playoffs. There would have been a lot of contenders in that playoff. Well, I don't know if that's how it worked. I think it was still a cutoff, but either way, it would have been if the potential was there. Obviously these things are scripted, so doesn't mean the potential was actually there. But I'm just saying, like, the possibility in all things are on the up and up format was to have a lot of different winners. Obviously, that's not what happened. You had, the top. It was very top heavy last year, and what is it this year? Super top heavy. You already got a guy with 4 wins. It's just like, holy shit!
Right.
Like, we were talking about how rough it was getting last year, and of course, he still had, people end up with 5 wins, Hamlin and. But anyway, it's top heavy last year, but now it's like we'll see how they want to do it. And now, like you said, it's not even based on wins, so there is a lot more room for manipulation. And yeah, I tend to agree. I hadn't really thought about it in that way, mainly because I'm not like super keen on the formats and the ins and outs with what I'm learning, each week. But yeah, you make some great points. And yeah, a lot remains to be seen. Of course, we're moving into, got a week off, and then we'll be back at April 12th at Bristol, good old Bristol, Tennessee, 201. Might as well do some due diligence now. I don't know if we're going to be able to see the governor, see his schedule all the way to the 12th, but let's see what Billy. I've checked on Billy at least 3 or 4 times this season so far, and he hasn't had too much going on. Like I said, he had that one thing going on. What was it? Oh, it was Tennessee was one of the only states that deployed National Guard to. Was it Iran? It might have been Iran. I'm not sure. Oh no, Venezuela, something like that. But other than that, he hasn't had a lot of. And you would assume that these kind of guys wouldn't. It's like your average, even governor. On the national headlines, you don't get a lot of like every state's governor. It's like what, Ron DeSantis mostly, and like if there's something going on, like some big Trump thing or a weather event, you'll get a governor here and there, or a Kathy Hochul or something out of nowhere. But like actually like documenting each time Bill Lee was in the news and syncing it up with fucking William Byron last year was just wild. It's just such a clown world. It's like more than sports. To me, it was fun that we were able to do that through NASCAR, but all the while I'm sitting in the back of my head and I'm like, this thing needs to blow up. This thing needs to, whatever this is, whatever we're documenting, this thing needs to be destroyed. Can someone please destroy this? This is so dumb. You have people, it's so annoying at the same time. I was having fun with it, decoding with you and things of that nature. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, man, this fucking sucks. This is our reality. This is ass.
Yeah, and then we missed the International Tennessee Day and how they didn't have that for Martinsville. We were wondering why is there no thing for this all year? Like why does that look like that? And that's international. And then I find that in the damn chat, they're like, it's International Tennessee Day. I'm like, you got what? I'm like, and then just how that played out was just.
And even then, it took to the last 15 laps to knock him off, and then he just wins the last race anyway. It's just like, fuck you, dude. That's how I feel about it. Just fuck you. It's crazy. Where do I? It's not all. Oh, they had a bus crash in Tennessee.
Oh,
I guess a bunch of middle school students. Kenwood Middle School. Carroll County, huh? Oh, wow.
oh, Carol.
Interesting surname there.
Mm.
Two kids died. You know, it's always funny the debate about seatbelts on buses. When I was a kid, because I was homeschooled until third grade, and even then I didn't take the bus. I didn't take the bus until later in my life. But the only times I took the bus was on like field trips and stuff like that. But they had seatbelts. Nobody used them, but there were seatbelts on the seats. I don't know. So when did they decide to take them out? Like completely, like this is just too much money. What? I don't, because it's not like they were great seatbelts even then. They were, I'm talking about. I'm sure buses aren't that much better now. I'm sure they're actually the same buses, though. I doubt they've changed things that much. But from what I've seen, but there's been I have been privy to the debate about putting seatbelts on the buses. And it seems weird that something like that just wouldn't have seatbelts. You will get a ticket as an adult human being driving your own car if you do not put your seatbelt on. Click it or ticket.
Yeah.
Where's the argument that a bus full of kids doesn't need to wear seatbelts? I need the same person, the same guy I need like some guy lawmaker who would sign off on the bill to ticket people for not having their seatbelts, or the latest rules committee or committee that's okayed traffic cameras in their city to come on there and say why it's okay to have traffic cameras take pictures of you driving by, notice you don't have a seatbelt on, and send you a bill in the mail, but your kid doesn't need to wear a seatbelt on the way to school. Which, by the way, I mean, there just needs to be a whole nother episode about this. It's just like parents are cooked, dude. Parents are fucking cooked. I had to bear witness to it, and I didn't like my son taking the bus at all, just for the small amount of time he did before I got him out of school again. But dude, he had just a cycle of like crackhead bus drivers, and I'm just like, fuck, man, I don't want him getting on this bus.
Yeah.
They just look like crackheads. I'm like, I'm fighting crackheads outside. I've literally I had pulled a knife on a guy because I was telling him to get away from the bus stop because he was doing drugs right outside the bus stop. I'm fighting crackheads outside the bus stop. I look up, and there's a crackhead driving the bus. I'm like, hey, yo. But anyway, and it's just like I've mentioned before multiple times on the podcast, I never saw not even one single parent the entire time my kid went to school. Not one parent made sure their kid got to the bus. Okay. It's like, fuck, dude. And this isn't norm. This isn't just like, okay, you can make all these. This isn't some like suburban, whatever area. This is you went to my old house. That area was fucked, dude. 122nd Division in Portland. Oh hell no! There was a freaking homeless camp right down the road, and people are just letting their kids walk by that in the morning on the way to school. Not to mention, there was two girls that were. I mean, it persists in school. Let's just point that type of female persists in school. There's always going to be those types of females, but I'm like, we're out there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's these girls dressing like whores walking by drug-filled encampments with no supervision onto a bus with a crackhead driving it. Like, what is your parents doing? What is going on? What is happening? Anyway.
Yeah, I remember when I used to ride the bus. I get nothing but bus conduct because we'd like ride the bus and we'd like jump over the seats and hit our heads and go flying over the up in the air. We'd like time it out. We bumps are coming. We'd take the jump. We'd fly over the seats. We'd like hit our heads. We'd like wrestle and stuff. I get black eyes. We'd beat each other up. Like I remember the bus. The bus was it was a Royal Rumble to say the least. It was a hell of a time, and I can't imagine how even that is today. Because I mean, everything else has changed. So the hell, it's been I haven't been on a bus in how long? So I can't imagine what it's like today.
And let's just put it this way: buses are not made for the ride. These are not Cadillacs, people. No, just the smallest bumps they hit are like you're running over a humongous rock. Yeah. Boom, 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 just like right up your ass too, because those seats are made out of what? Packed cardboard. They're not. There's no cushion to those seats. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, the worst part about riding the bus for me in my stories, the worst of the worst was, living in Wisconsin, it'd be 20, 30, 40, 50 below. And they don't cancel school there unless it's got to be like 40, 50 below, or they're not even going to cancel it. So it'd be like 20, 30, like right on that mark. And you're going to stand out in the cold. They're going to make you wait for the bus, and you got to stand out in the cold. And then the worst part is you get on the bus and the bus is blowing cold air. So it's not even, there's not any heat on the bus. It's actually colder on the bus than it was outside.
Freezer. Yeah.
So yeah, they got cold air, literally freezing cold air blowing out the bus. So I was the first one to like get on the bus. So I had to sit through the whole thing. So I just like sit and just shake and like feel like I was gonna die of like hypothermia and frostbite the whole way there, and just shake, and I just have my nose would run all over the place. I just put my head in the seat and just shiver and just feel like I was gonna die. Like. So yeah, they don't care about your kids. I mean, they want your kids to really die. I mean, they're not gonna just kill you waiting for the bus and keep you out in the cold and the wind. They're gonna kill you on the bus by even putting heat on in the bus. So I mean, they really hate you. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Look into this William Carroll character. Goes quite a way back. It seems from 1788. So. That's pretty damn early. And I'm sure you keep going down the Carroll family tree. I'm sure it gets to some of the bigger ones. But anyway, just looking up the county, it was Carroll County, as we pointed out. But this was a field trip too, apparently, and it crashed into a dump truck.
What a way to go out into the dump truck.
It's a Green Power USA event. Curious. Oh, 67, huh?
68 too, yeah.
It's Kenwood. Was it middle school? Kenwood 33. Yeah, Kenwood Middle School. Hmm.
206.
What day did this happen? It's published today. I guess it happened today.
They're setting up for their other 201 narrative. To watch Bill Lee.
Mm. Bro, how does a bus lose? I guess a dump truck. I guess if you're gonna go head to head with something and lose, I guess a big ass bus probably does not do great against a dump truck. Then again, those guys in the dump trucks, they sit right forward too.
Yeah.
But apparently they're fine. Oh, they named them. Okay. Zoe Davis and Ariana Pearson. $38, $43. Wow. Oh, just one R, two N's. I'm 88 on the 88 date numerology. What do you know?
That's 65.
$277 days left in the year. I should make this bigger. Sorry, guys. My bad. In case you guys are trying to read along. It's like a really small font, so it's tough. Tragically, 2 students on the bus were killed. Several others were injured, with multiple airlifted to trauma centers in Nashville and Memphis. Damn. It's been pretty bad. Obviously, with 2 killed, but I'm just saying, like, loved ones have identified. Okay. Zoe's mother spoke at Saturday vigil. Oh, okay. So this. What day did this happen? Okay. Why does it say at least one dead? Is this an earlier post? Okay, this one's just from one day. What day did this happen? Wow, so the bus driver, this is it sounds like the bus driver's fault. He crossed a double yellow, so he went into the other lane. Yeah, homie got activated. Look at that. You can see that very well. Yeah, accept me all the cookies. Give them all to me. Yum, 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 yum. Cookie monster over here. Apparently, there's a dash cam from one of the parents following him, the bus. Yeah, let me just go into the other lane with a bunch of kids.
That didn't surprise me with the terrible drivers out there today.
Good to know that they're also the bus drivers. Be fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Kathy doing out here? Got the Michelin woman out here. What are you gonna do? Get out of the shot. So that's from March 28th. Okay, so is that the day it happened? I really don't get why it doesn't just say the date. I know this is a bit of a sidetrack.
I think it
On
says
Friday.
right there. Yeah, I was gonna say I just seen it in the gray. It says 27.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. March 27th. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard
Sorry.
to read. It's
Sorry.
gray on the gray font, but I just seen that.
Jeez, I don't know why that was so tough.
But plus, it wouldn't make sense today because there's no school on a Sunday unless you're
Yeah, it was a
doing
field
something
trip.
else.
But yeah.
Yeah, field trip it might be.
Huh. 86. Well, obviously the 86th day of the year. That's a day.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, there you go. I mean, this is with parents, involved in the school and everything like that. But now, only thing else I'm interested. What was that? Why didn't I click that? It said they were going to like a green event. What is it?
Green power.
Wait, what? They had spent all year building a race car from the ground up. Just seeing if there's any. Oh, damn. Oh, I think the dump truck
Won that war.
Yeah. But just look at this, people. These
Surprised
passing any safety regulations.
I'm surprised only 2 people died with that.
That's crazy.
Better been
Probably
sitting
because
in the
most
back.
kids like to sit in the back. Yep. Okay, I'm just one last thing I do want to whatever that green power, not green power ranger, Tennessee. I don't know what that was. Green Power USA. I guess in Tennessee. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, they build race cars. Interesting.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I did it. I already did that, didn't I? Or did I? Yeah, we did. I just didn't click it in. Even Green Power itself's got the 144 and the 45.
Yep.
Ritual.
Big numbers.
Wow. Well, I didn't have that on the docket, but that doesn't seem arbitrary. That's for sure.
No.
We'll see what the coming week has for that story. I don't know if that will reach a national stage or at all, but it's interesting to do a little checkup on Tennessee and find that sitting just looming. And what do you know? They were coming back from or headed to go build race cars. Yeah. In Tennessee, huh? Okay. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's just amazing how they do this stuff with these tragedies and how they sync this stuff up. And we're talking about the Jamie Little stuff and how I found that, and then last week too, we were talking a little bit about that 322. But another thing we kind of have brought this up before. I just thought, this was interesting. We've kind of talked about this before a little bit. But looking into this, we're talking about, all the Chad Little stuff last week, and we're talking about, um, how we've kind of mentioned before. We mentioned obviously he's a lawyer and stuff, and how he went to the fraternity and all the stuff and the connections to Kurt Vonnegut and stuff. But then another very interesting thing about all of this is apparently on July 19th, 1989, he was supposed to. He missed a flight. Apparently, it's interesting. This is right below where you read about all that stuff about him, and it's interesting they add this in there because you think about obviously Biffle and what happened to him and how this was all connected, but it's interesting. It was July 19th. That was it was 34 days after Nirvana released Bleach, and obviously with in the band, you had Chad Channing, obviously, so it's another Chad, and there's possibly even a Chad Cobain, depending on what you read and what you hear and what you believe in the stories. But so you have a couple Chads, and it's interesting that it happened on this day, and Nirvana equals 34. Nirvana equals 34. It's 34 days after Bleach was Nirvana's first album, but he missed the flight from Stapleton International Airport in Denver, which became the Denver airport, which is all connects, which I find very interesting. We've talked about this before. And the fact that it was going to O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, all the O'Hare, the Sean O'Hare stuff we've been talking about, the ritual they just did with him, and all the connections, with his last, him getting or leaving the company there on 4/3/2004, 10 years after Kurt Cobain, and then all the connections we were talking about with him and Chad Little and all and what they just did with Reddick and the him winning and then going to the Raw event, and that was that it was the week of Sean's birthday, and it was 55th birthday, and he's 4 years and 5 days after Kurt Cobain, so that exactly 4 years and 5 days is very interesting. And then being from Atlanta, and that was in Atlanta, so there's those connections there, which it was undeniably about Sean O'Hare.
Exactly.
And there was even a wrestling match too, where they actually were joking when he was doing the Shanton Bomb. They're like, "I'm telling you guys, they're going to name an airport after him," which is funny because you do have the O'Hare International Airport. So it's they say that in the match. Someday they're going to name an airport after him, but then there's this story, and I just can't help but see all of these connections. The plane crashed going to there. This was a plane he was supposed to get on. It was flight 232, which has got 322 right in the name. So you can't miss it. And the plane crashed in Iowa, which is it's kind of interesting because it's going to Illinois, and John Deere, they started in Illinois, and on the border of like Illinois and Iowa and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting place. Is all how this all got put together. But in O'Hare too, it also equals X side equals Trump. O'Hare and X side and Trump, it's all the exact same. Trump's just scattered in there, but very interesting gematria to all this. And what's interesting is, because Chad Little won the first two races there in '95 on February 18th and February 25th, and it was on the 27th, 2 days later, the Denver airport was renamed right after that, which is kind of interesting. How he's winning, and all of a sudden that happens, and then he missed this flight where this flight was coming out of here, and the timing of all that. I thought was very interesting at the time, and what's also interesting about this too. Chad Channing and Kurt Cobain, they just turned 59, which is interesting, and obviously, with them just turning 59, obviously Chad Little equals 59 as well, and you got this born in 63, about to turn 63 on my birthday, so all these things align perfectly. without a doubt. I mean, it all syncs up perfectly. And like I said, it's, you know, you look at what was going on during this time. You know, we've also talked about the you know, like the Foo Fighters, how they released their album there on 7/4 in the United States, but it was released on June 26th, like the rest of the world. And what's interesting about that, to Chad Little's, you know, last win there on July 29th, exactly, you know, 3 months after his birthday, it was from June 26th to July 29th was 33 days, exactly 4 weeks and 5 days, or 9.04% of 1995, which very interesting numbers. You know, that the 94, you know, Chad Little equaling 94, the 4 weeks, 5 days, you know, the 45 getting there, the 33 days. The same numbers we're talking about, all this just continuously keeps showing up. And, you know, we've talked about too how, you know, the March 19th, 94, you have the New World Airport Commission at Denver. I brought this up before, how the mural is up there from March 19th of 1994. You know, etched in stone with the Freemason sign.
Yep.
And that was, of course, 17 days before, you know, Kurt Cobain would die on April 5th of 94. 17 days, 17 like kill. So you know, that's all very interesting.
Like Mason.
Yeah. And, you know, with this plane crash too, I mean, it's interesting, you know, you had 296 passengers.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, and they say 112 people died, and 13 people were injured but survived too, I guess. So you had 184 people survived, and 13 passengers were injured. So it's kind of this whole thing, you know, with Biffle, and, you know, how this supposedly almost happened to Chad Little, and, you know, all these connections to when this happened, you know, and then the fact they even add this in there, like, why would you add this? It's such a weird thing to add in there, but then, you know, for something like this to happen to you or not happen to you, or to miss something like this, you know,
Reminds me
obviously,
of Mark Wahlberg. Wasn't he like didn't get on a flight on 9/11 too?
yeah. And then, you know, of
Right.
course, you know, with Chad Little driving, you know, the 97 plane crash, and, you know, death and everything, and um, how all of that lines up perfectly. And like, you know, we haven't really talked much, you know, about Chad Channing, and, you know, Channing and stuff. You know, it's kind of, you know, he's got an interesting name in gematria as well. Um, to all this, and just the timing and everything. So I just thought all of this was, you know, very interesting, how, you know, we've kind of briefly talked about this, but I mean, the timing is just it's just, I just think it's really impeccable, and just the way they, you know, just like everything else, you know, with everything they mention and stuff, how they have to uh you know, put this in there with everything we've been talking about. Like I said, just the fact, you know, he's winning there in 95, and then, you know, right, he's winning, you know, they changed the name of the airport during that time, and um everything kind of, you know, starts to happen at once. And, you know, you just got this, you know, this random event, and how this was something that, you know, it just became a, you know, and like I said, it's got 322 right into the 232. So um yeah, it's a very interesting how all this kind of came to be, and how this all connects. But yeah, even details like this, you know, I mean, it's all put out for a reason. It's all a foreshadow. It's all contrived, and, you know, the way they go about doing this stuff. I mean, you know, you have to have all these details perfect. I mean, and it just, you know, it syncs up perfectly with, like I said, the precursor to the Biffle tribute. You know, you got Chad Little's cars are next to Greg Biffle's there in the museum. I mean, it's just perfectly done.
And this is all as well, you know, it's just become like was it like cult fiction, or not fiction, but like cult history of NASCAR, or stock car racing, or not even stock car racing, but, you know, just racing as a whole, is that it's just riddled with plane crashes throughout
Yeah.
the entire history. They have whole websites about like the well over a dozen I mean, and the stories just get crazier and crazier as you read them. We recently listed off quite a few of them, and there's ones you sit there and read, and you're like, how is this even possible? What is that? What do you mean this happened? And then look at the Greg Biffle situation. It's just like, he just happens to have like a plane driving school and he just crashes his plane. It's like, oh yeah, Kobe and Gianna died in a helicopter, and all Kobe did was have helicopters all throughout his career. He even had a shoe named after him, and I own those shoes. They're one of my favorite pairs of shoes. But anyway, yeah, it's just, these things are, as you just said, it's like the programming goes all the way back, like tracing it back even before 95, but all the way to 95 at least, and to seemingly something that would be arbitrary to anybody else. But we're also talking about Denver Airport here, people. Like, he wasn't just mentioning this like mural off of the side. If you guys have not looked into Denver Airport, obviously it's one of those things they'll throw right in front of your face. Like the other countries do it too. Like if you go to like other countries, they have murals and statues that are just like, for the esoteric inclined people, they'd be like, what the hell? You're just parking this thing right where everyone can see it. And they're just like, yep, yeah, we are. And people just walk by it every day. That's, common. But, to see what they have at Denver International, that's just like where they get to put everything out there. And I would assume that it's a larger hub than we give it credit for. Of course, you might think, Denver nestled in the certain part of the, in Colorado, in that certain part of the country, it might not be it's not like a central airport, but I bet you it is. I bet it has probably some of the most traffic. And that's why they choose that airport to do that in. Not to mention, Colorado is one of those states, man. That mountainous region in Colorado, there's a lot of things going on. There's military bases all over the Colorado, all over. It makes you wonder about when you hear about the Batman theater shooting and all the things they've done in Colorado, CIA like operations, basically. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Colorado. Military base wise, and it makes it's pretty clear that they would do, and plus the altitude of Denver as well. That probably serves as a unique function for air travel as well. But obviously, if I say obviously, I can't obviously know because I don't have the little scanner card to go into the back areas of that airport. But what's interesting is something I've meant to bring up. Otherwise, there's a lot coming out about underground networks and cities. And it's all just kind of like, obviously, we talk about how the controllers control the narrative, so that just like in sports, we talk about this, especially in sports, is that, last season we had so much shit given to NASCAR from the drivers themselves. So people would be like, oh, look, these guys are self-deprecating. They understand that, they're fighting for us. So, I mentioned Kyrie Irving recently in that same vein, that people will latch on. Oh, he's such a truth teller. He's blowing the whistle. Just like, nah, dude, he's set to come back to the NBA. If he knew that this was such an evil place and why would he continue to do it if he's not evil? It's just like, I mean, then they'll probably just be like, well, Jesus had to walk through Daniel walked in the lion's den. And it's just like, bitch, okay. Now we're equating a guy who dribbles a basketball to a parable in the Bible. Okay. But anyway, a lot's coming out about underground cities, and I've had some stuff in the background that I would need to find the links and stuff like that. But I've watched quite a bit, and for whatever reason, it's recycled back onto my feed in a good way, because these are like more, what's the word, like documentary style videos, which I really like. But they do bring a lot of pictures and a lot of cool stuff too, which is all fine and dandy. I do tend to latch onto the information. You don't want to end up being a picture chaser, especially now. Like, pictures are all fine and dandy, but like it's hard to stake your claim on a picture nowadays, guys. I mean, it's always been, but especially nowadays with obviously AI and half the things that they're trying to trick the truth community with. That's what these are. These are to make the community look like quacks. So careful with the chasing pictures, even ones you think are like really old, because like that's one of their specialties is faking old pictures. But anyway, yeah, these networks underground at Denver International Airport is one of the hubs of what's the word? It's almost like horror fiction. Like people have written about the Denver airport as if it is a gateway to hell. This is literally people associate Denver airport underneath Denver airport is like an opening to hell. People have said that. And of course we've made the episode, like you said, their big stallion and things of that nature. But yeah, anyway, I've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, but it is a very interesting topic, and we should kind of like bite into. I know, which is funny because that episode we talked about Denver International Airport. I think that same episode we talked about the tunnels where they're trafficking kids in, and this is before the Epstein stuff came back around too, like back around in full force, like it has now. So we were talking about that stuff a while ago. If you look for the thumbnail that has like the military truck hauling like a cage of kids, and the easier thing to spot will be the big blue horse, that statue they have. It's on the thumbnail. I don't remember what episode it was.
I think that might have been episode 10 or so. Because I was talking about the same stuff. I was talking about how they have that etched in stone, the March 19th, 1994, the New World Airport Commission, and then about 11 months later in February, they changed the name there. Right before I was.
The New World Airport Commission too. They just can't get enough of themselves, dude. They sit in a room with no windows and just fart and just like compliment each other all day long. Wow, that's a great fart. Wow, that smells great. Man, your farts smell really good. That's what they have to, because they're just like up each other's ass everywhere, right in front of our faces, and we don't even care.
They knew they had Cobain gone in 17 days. They're like, here, we got Cobain in 17 days, but let's really lay this in right now. And next year, 95, we're going to, February there, we're going to change the name in 11 months, but let's just get them with this real quick. I mean, they got the stat lined up. They got the stat down to a T when they're doing stuff, when they're showing you something, when they're going to change something, when they're making a move here or there. And yeah, I mean, this stuff. And like we said, we've talked about this, and this is, I mean, I've known about the Denver airport for a long time, and I've actually been there. I haven't been in it, but I have been there. I've dropped people off and stuff, and picked up people from Denver. So, and maybe I can't remember if I have been in there. I obviously didn't see the murals or anything, but can't remember if I was in there or not. But I did drop people off, take people off from there. Like I said, I did live at 6,000-7,000 feet there at Wyoming, in the the high elevation, and have been through Colorado, into Colorado quite a few times, at Denver and stuff. So, like I said, I've been all the states out west, California, quite a few times and stuff. So, yeah, I am pretty familiar with the area. It is very interesting, and how all of this does tie in together just perfectly.
I mean, just on top of that, like a little bit extra whipped cream on top. For anyone that's been into an airport, which I don't know the percentage actually. I've met a lot of people that have never been to an airport, and then I could have easily lived my life and never been in an airport. I've never had to fly. I've chosen to fly, but I've never had to. So it's interesting. But anyway, there's a straight. I mean, I'm just talking about PDX. I'm talking about where else did I? Was it LaGuardia, or what's the one in LA? LAX.
Yeah.
And so, and then I think it was a small airfield that we actually landed in near Vegas. It wasn't. I don't think it was the actual their main international airport. But anyway, and then other small airstrips in California I landed in when I went to I did a baseball tournament in high school. But anyway, there's strange airports are strange energy. There's strange energy. I mean, it's almost like hospital like, but then it's like,
yeah,
it's like a carnival without the carnival stuff. It's just like the ancillary thing. It's like there's a bunch of weird vendors, and it's like you'll go from like a souvenir shop to a full-on steakhouse bar to a little mini mart selling like Gatorade and sport, energy drink. It's just like a little 7-Eleven stall. It's just like the straight. It's just you can't. it just keeps you off your toes for sure. And then there's, you know, comfort is not their issue. They're going to give you the shitty bus terminal seats everywhere you go because they know you're going to be laid over and have to sleep, but they don't want you to be comfortable. But yeah, it's everything is larger than life too. It's just like every airport is just way too big, way bigger than it needs to be. The inside is just way bigger than it needs to be. Why do the ceilings need to be vaulted to the sky? Why does every airport, they don't have a second floor? Why are their ceilings 50 feet high?
Yeah.
And I've always thought, and then what's interesting is like, you know, maybe you'll look into the history of these buildings as well. I mean, Denver International goes all the way back to 1929 when it was a municipal airport, which is generally a smaller airport like the ones meaning municipal. But yeah, you never know. You look into the history of these places, who knows? Maybe they were for the Zeppelins and stuff back in the day. That the history would rather you not ever remember, even though we should go back to them. But anyway, interesting stuff. I think, yeah. What is your guys' experience with the airports? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you get that aura that I've felt at the airports? I don't like it. It's like uncanny. I equate it to hospitals because it is kind of like that in hospitals.
Yeah, that's perfect right there. That's perfect. That's exactly what I feel like when I'm even when I'm picking someone up or I'm dropping someone off or I'm even getting near an airport. I feel like I'm at the hospital. Like it's the last place I ever want to be or even be close to. It's just an awful weird vibe, and it's just I don't like any of it. I just hate it all. It's just it's very eerie. It's just very it's just not it's just nothing about it's any good. I'll say that much. It's just very very bad energy and feeling, and it's just awkward, and yeah, it's perfect analogy at an airport hospital, really.
Before you know it, there'll be hospitals in the airport.
Oh yeah,
with as many crashes and runway incidents as they have. But anyway, did you have any more to add to that, by the way?
I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, I didn't have a lot on there. Just very interesting stuff, and go into the O'Hare in Chicago, and
yeah, that's just a joke.
Big hair, and just the way they set this, it's just unbelievable the way they set all this up. Just absolutely amazing how they have all this ready to go and set all this up and come up with this stuff and align it, and it's just amazing. It's just incredible. I mean, last week, the things we were pointing out and showing and aligning, and then this and all of it, and just the time it takes to get all this too. I mean, they and to make sure they add it in, because if they didn't add this in, I mean, you never know this happened. But there's reasons why they got to add. There's reasons why this had to happen. It's reasons why.
It's not because like John August from Des Moines, Iowa, family dentist. It's not because he missed the flight. It's because Chad Little missed the fight. That's why we know. Like that's
what we really want to know is what was Chad Little doing in Denver? Why are you in Denver? You had a little race there or something? You had something going on there in '89, or what? Were you told to go there? Did you need to go there, or were they?
Were you even there?
Yeah, was he even there? Yeah, it's just was it really? It's just unbelievable how they do this and they set this up, and whether how much of this is true or not, or is legit or not, or it's like, and what really caused him to miss that flight? Was he late? Was it late? Was something else get in the way? Was he told not to get on that flight? Like, hey, this plane's going down. We got better plans for you, mister. You're not getting on this one.
Yeah, you're not getting off that easy.
Yeah, you're not. We got plans for someone else to get on a plane, but you're going to be part of it. But you're not going to go down in no plane crash. We got better plans for you. But yeah, it really makes you wonder, what's he doing there in Denver? And, there's a lot of Washington, Colorado connections, but yep, there's a lot of connections there. So it's like, Of course, that flight's got to be going to O'Hare. It's going to be stopping in O'Hare. It's where it's going, but it's gonna crash there in Iowa, and we're heading to Illinois, and that's where John Deere's from, and just all this stuff, and yeah, just to get all of this in, perfectly, and right as you got Nirvana and Chad Channing there drumming away, yeah, Chad Little up on the up and coming there in the Winston Cup series. So it's whatever he was doing there in Denver was supposedly, if he was even there, was just setting this whole stage right up.
Another great addition to the already great archive, if you will, of information to add on to this whole thing. It's really quite something. And yeah, we'll have to have Illegal Smile back on soon. He's actually made a suggestion for another guy to join our stream as well. Also, shout out to Illegal Smile. He has posted. I don't know if it was. I have to go back and read because I skimmed through his actual email to look at the information. But yeah, basically what I was working on, which is still good because I need to post that in PDF form for everybody because now it seems like we'll have a complete list. He has gone in there, him or his friend, I think it was him, and made a detailed list of all the drivers and their birthdays and even like their first race, first win, and other cool stuff that I wasn't going to add until later. He's gone and done that. The only thing, I don't know if he did have them or I just didn't notice them, but he doesn't have like the owners and things of that nature, which is the only thing I have. So combining those two things, we basically have the whole list for people to look at. I need to post that as like a PDF on somewhere or link to it or something like that. But yeah, shout out to you for that. That'll be a great resource moving forward. And yeah, maybe we'll have you on when you can make it. Probably not next week, but maybe the week after, going into the next 201 race. That'd be cool potentially. But anyway, great stuff as always, Austin. That was awesome, and it's just adding to the seemingly never-ending. But we will get to the bottom of it. There's a bottom. This isn't.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna, just like last season, we felt like we were, pretty much scraping the bottom there. We just missed that one little detail, and I'm sure we'll get right back there, especially with as much help from the community. We've had already a couple calls now from the community, along with, well, we've only called one race this year so far, but we'll catch up. We're going to catch up. We'll get there. But either way, the work that we're putting in outside of it, drawing these narratives in, I think is, like you say, it is priceless. And it's also, fun to do each week as well and hear what you've uncovered. But
and just the way it's all coming together. I mean, with the 63, born in 63, going on 63, the birthday alignments. I mean, Chad the Leakling 59, Kurt Cobain and Chad Channing just turned 59. Chad Little equals 94. Cobain died in 94, and all these connections. I mean, they're all aligning right now. I mean, you got Jamie Little, and Jamie Little's just stalking Jordan everywhere he goes, just waiting for him, ready right there. I mean, on the spot. I mean, she's got a birthday coming up. Chad's got a birthday coming up, and so the next race, if you do see Jamie again by next time, she's gonna have her birthday already. She'll be 48, like Illuminati.
Yeah,
because her birthday's coming up on the 9th. So Chad's is coming up. So we have a lot of things to really start looking at too with them and everyone else, and all these dates coming up that just and they're all happening right now. I mean, we're a month away from something major with this. I mean, there's no way this is never going away, and we just keep finding more and building on it. And every week we're digging into this, and I mean, you never know. There could be news about Chad Channing or Kurt Cobain coming out about connections. There could be more O'Hare connections coming out that add more intel on all this. So or something else that happened in 95 with all the 95 connections. all the naming of all this and the winning and all these events and all this going on at the same time. There could be more sitting right there that we haven't even seen, or something's going to pop out about that. Oh, this happened in 95, or yeah, you won those 2 races and they changed the airport and you were here on this day, or you went there, or this happened, or, just how they do this. I mean, we're dialing it in every week. We are dialing it in, and the work's never been better. It's never been deeper. I mean, because there's no one else out there that's connecting the dots like this.
Yeah, look out for some of the figures you haven't heard from in a long time, like the Dave Grohls and the Smashing Pumpkins guy, and who was, he made the circuit a while ago talking about all the how close he was to Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, and there was the whole drama triangle and things of that nature that he sounded off on. But yeah, look for some of these related names, like maybe a Chad Channing too. I was looking at him. He was born in '67 or something like of that nature.
Born in just like Kurt. Yep, just like 20 days before Kurt. Yep.
Don't be surprised to get some of these guys, these ancillary characters to fall off, to reinvigorate the story, and keep some of the other names on the stage that are deemed more important, like the Dave Grohls, and that have made out from the sacrifice, whether or not he died or not. I'm saying the sacrifice of the character, whatever you will. Yeah, great point. And obviously Washington has been super in the headline. And I don't like reporting about Washington all the time either. It's not like I'm sitting here trying to like only report locally. I'm sick of Washington.
It's the world news.
I'm sick of it, dude. I'm like, of course I moved to Washington and all this shit starts happening. It's like, what the hell? But yeah, there's just a couple of things that on the headline side of the last couple of weeks that I wanted to mention. And then like I said, if you guys stick around, please do, or if you can catch the video when you can, go towards the end, and Austin will have something he wants to speak on. But before then, I just have a couple of things that I've been looking into. One was just kind of like on a whim. This I'm sure people have heard of this Druski fella, back when the big Diddy files were coming out. He was mentioned in there because he was going to the Diddy parties before he was even popular or famous and things of that nature. But he's like definitely become one of the biggest names. He's pretty much a sellout because he does like regular ads and stuff. He's just on like regular ads acting like basically like a white guy just out there. Oh, this product's great. But he's not like that at all. Anyway, he's a very popular figure, but if you guys aren't aware of him, but he's been doing these skits. He recently did a NASCAR skit, what I was telling Austin about, with Ty Gibbs was in on the skit too. So that's something to look into. But other than that, he did this thing where he never said he was Erika Kirk, but he was obviously being Erika Kirk. And it was like a 2-minute video. It's not like the funniest thing ever. It's just a controversial. And so what I found funny was the controversy about it. Like anybody thinking that this is controversial, but I would play it, but we don't have audio, and feel free to go watch it yourself, guys. It's 2 minutes long, but the funny thing about it is he dresses up like to look like Erika Kirk. And the first thing I mentioned to you when we were talking about it before the show was just that, one of the more popular theories around, especially black men in the Hollywood, is that they all are forced to wear the dress. That's like that's been making the circuits for forever now. Dave Chappelle's been one of the more prominent people to talk about it. Of course, Terry Crews and some others. Obviously, you have the Tyler Perrys and stuff who are the guys who are there to put the guys in the dress. He likes he's I think he's in more movies wearing one than not, but it's just another example. So you could sit here and say, oh, he's a comedian, he's a influencer, he's doing this as a joke, and he's his own boss. But at the end of the day, he's on camera dressed as a white woman in dresses and things and heels and stuff. So it's just like the process of getting you there. It's like, is it worth the 2-minute video? Let me just ask you. Let me pose that question to you guys. Would what he did be worth the 2-minute video? Maybe, but anyway. So he's posing as Erika Kirk basically, and what I found funny is just that nobody's heard from the Wayans brothers for a long time, up until all of a sudden they have Scary Movie 6 coming out, and that's just been everywhere without even looking. It's been one of the more popular things. Everyone's like, oh, finally Scary Movie's coming back, as if anybody needed one, or have we all been missing it? I will say that they were kind of funny back in the day. Like the first 3 were pretty funny.
Yeah, first 3 were pretty good.
4 or 5. I don't think I've seen them at all, but
yeah, 3 had the ring in there. They made fun of the ring.
Exactly. Anyway, it just reminded me of that, and of course, the Wayans brothers are making the circuit right now. I guess you could say Marlon has been in the news because he had that movie Him. So Marlon has been, I guess, active. But so it reminded me of White Chicks. So I didn't know this, and because it's not confirmed, but they said, the Wayans brothers said that if Scary Movie is successful, they will reprise the White Chicks and make White Chicks 2. And I not only saw the similarities between his makeup job and the Wayans brothers and White Chicks, but all the comments, it was a Facebook video, so I don't go on Facebook, so I was just on like guest Facebook, but all the top comments were talking about, oh, he needs to be in the next White Chicks. And I was like, the next White Chicks? But yeah, it's like some unconfirmed thing that they might make White Chicks 2. So I decided to just run some quick numbers. And yeah, this does seem to be some sort of, I guess, promotion because also this Yahoo, if you guys end up going and looking up this thing, read this little Yahoo. Druski's Erika Kirk skit didn't go viral just because it was blah, blah, blah. I read that, and it's just some like stupid take. But what they're basically saying is it was a purposeful, it was meant to just arouse not just anger, but just anything, just as big of a reaction as possible. Not because it was funny or because it was like insensitive necessarily, just because. But it was just made like because they're saying that Erika Kirk was going to sue him and that was not real. So there was like this whole like effort to make it like as out of proportion as possible. And so they're saying that's why it was such a big thing. But and why I mentioned that is because at the same time you're going to get this free advertisement or predictive programming for a potential new White Chicks movie. And as far as I can tell, that's how this system we live in works. You think something that's arbitrary to something else, it couldn't possibly be the catalyst for it, but you find out it's the exact opposite. Look how many sports are predictors for huge events that affect millions of people. Look at it's no surprise that they would use something like this as and it is pretty similar anyway. It's black guy dressing up like a white chick, and the way he looks too is just like crazy. But just like in White Chicks, it's not like in White Chicks they're like, wow, they really did a great job with makeup. That looks like a couple of hot chicks. That was the joke, is that they basically just look like creepy dudes. But anyway, speaking of Terry Crews, he was in that too. But anyway, I ran some numbers, and I did notice that from that skit to Marlon Wayne's birthday, was 120 days, and White Chicks 2 equals 120. I guess I can kind of show this stuff as I go. So White Chicks 2, if you see there, equals 120. And why I didn't write down their birthdays is beyond me. I think it was July 23rd. Let's see. Let's look it up real quick. And skit was on the 25th. Yeah. So this is Marlon's birthday. So I mean, from the skit to his birthday, I should say, is 120 days later, just like White Chicks 2. And that's Marlon Wayans. And then, interestingly enough, from his birthday to the skit, from his previous birthday? Yeah, from his previous birthday to the skit is also 8 months and 2 days. And Druski equals 82 as well. But on top of that, you have, I mean, the similarities between both of them as well in their names, because their full names is Marlon Lamont Wayans and Sean Mathis Wayans. Now, when it comes to Sean Wayans, his name. No, sorry. Just Sean itself. Sean equals 65, as well as his full name. He also equals 65. And interestingly enough, from his birthday to the skit was 65 days later. His birthday is...
He's got those Kurt Donald Cobain numbers, 65 and 97.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yeah, so from his birthday to that skit was 65 days later. Just like his name in two different forms of his name. And then also, if you look at the movie, this movie is coming out on June 12th as well. If you look up Scary Movie 6 equals 55 and 65, like Sean's name, but also Sean Wayans is 55 right now. And also from that release date, from Sean, from his birthday to the Scary Movie release date, June 12th is 144 days. Thought that was worth noting. And I think that might have been all I had. There was something else that's eluding me. I think it had to do with Erika Kirk, but for whatever reason, I didn't write it down, or I thought I would remember it, and now I don't remember it. But there was an Erika Kirk connection that I don't remember now. I don't think it was her name. What's her name? Like Erika Lane Kirk? I don't know if it was her name, Gematria, or something else. It is. I mean, those are interesting numbers, but I think we talked about these before. I mean, all of those are interesting.
Yeah, numbers. All of them.
Illuminati connections. Got the 93 there as well. Big death number too. I mean, yeah. It's not one that you'd associate with death in Gematria necessarily, but 93 being associated with Saturn, and Saturn being the, one of the symbols of death. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come back to me. I'm trying to think. It might have been birthday related to her birthday. Man, I really wish I wrote that. I don't know why I skipped writing that down. There was one other piece to it that I think it was related to the 144, because that seems kind of off. I mean, obviously it's fine to put this here. Obviously, Jesuit order equals 144. We talked about this, all the time. It's just, I think I had another piece connecting the 144 other than just it equaling 144 days, I should say. But anyway, we'll let it pass. I just thought it was worth mentioning because it's a big story. It's like it was a big headline because I didn't like look it up. It was like pushed out to me. So apparently people are feeling some type of way about it, and maybe in the next week or so I'll have a small follow up to see what all the hubbub was about because it's just like they have to do less and less in order to rouse the people nowadays. It's just like you just get this like these retarded sketches will get we'll get the gears turning for both sides to like, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you deserve it. Oh, it's just like, does anybody in the real world, does anybody with a real person, does anybody have time for that shit? Like, is the water cooler a real thing anymore? I work, first of all, my job is just like, I have seen it just decline in even myself personally, but that's because I'm kind of pulling away because these people are, it's not a superiority thing at all. It's just, I have nothing in common with these people at all. And they all seem alike. They're, I don't know how else to put it. They all seem to function with each other perfectly fine, but I just don't fit in there at all. And I stick out like a sore thumb, and rather than fake it, I don't care to fake it. That's what I'll say. I do not care to fake it. In fact, I can't stand how fake people are. And just being any ounce of real, which is, and I'm not saying being abrasive, but just being like to the point or anything like that without laughing or like acting like everything is a joke or goofy or happy. It just puts people off. And I'm just like, man, what kind of like weird Willy Wonka world are we living in? What is this? Why do people always have to, why do they have to act like this, or they're like almost ostracized? And unfortunately in a work environment, ostracized, I prefer to be ostracized. That's what I want. But instead I'm like brought up all the time because I'm not like them. So it's just like, it's actually worse. Anyway, yeah, that's all I had on this. I mean, I chose to try to decode it, and I do think that it's not arbitrary. My little decode I did on it, I do think that this is related to their event. I think that the White Chicks 2 will come to fruition, and don't be surprised to see Druski involved in that and something of that nature. But aside from that, there was one thing I wanted to talk. Of course, we talked about the new year, the real new year. And what do they have planned for the real new year? I'll personally say it. A fake mission to the moon. It's just I don't have much to go on this. I do know esoterically why they choose Artemis as the name for these missions. And why they chose Apollo before, and the fact that people would automatically probably argue it's because of their symbology in Greek mythology. I would just be like, yeah, it is that, but that's how they do it. That's how they get like the Jetsons will be a reality, but it was also a show that came out when nothing existed of the sort, but it will happen. It's just like, that's how these mythologies, it's a playbook. They're going to get there eventually. So like the fact that they're using Apollo and Artemis, these like dual figures, brother, sister, god and goddesses, to represent moon missions because they represent the moon, and Apollo was when we were in a more masculine energy, and now we're in a much more feminine energy. So they're using Artemis, the female version of the moon. Anyway, I could get into the esoteric ideas about it. That's not what I wanted to bring this up for. I just, I wanted to pick your brain, like just the mockery, just April Fool's Day. April Fool's, we're going to the moon.
Yeah, and April Fool's equaling a conspiracy equals a trampoline too. That's a really interesting one. Trampoline's got that same gematria, but I think there might have been another one in there too. Can't remember, but yeah, they got to pick. They just got to get this right. April 1st. They got to always mock you, and it's it's something too. You talk to people about that too. The real stuff. People always want to associate with me. It's like, oh yeah, because you were born in April. It's because you got the April birthday. You're born in April. Everything you talk about, it's April. Kurt Cobain and Chad Little, and you're just April this, April that.
Jamie
I'm like,
Little.
yeah, Jamie Little. It's like, yeah, no, it really is April. You don't understand. Like that. That really is the start of the new year, and that's why they sync this up like this, just to mock you that much more. That's why it's really called April Fool's Day. But try and explain this to people. You try and talk to people about it. They just they'll probably never talk to you again. They're just gonna think you're nuts or something. It's just I don't know what more is to show them. I mean, you can't. I mean, does it really make sense? January 1st. Literally the dead of winter and everything's dead and cold. It's like this ain't the start of any year. This ain't the start of no new year. I mean, look at us. We're everything's dead. It's cold. It's freezing. It's it's game over time. It's not. It's like April, spring. This is where it's at. All the signs point to it, but yeah, it's just there's not gonna be very many people saying, oh, now it's really 2026, or really talking like it's now 2026. They're gonna be like, oh, we're in the fourth year, the year's really half over already. It's like, no, that's the calendar year. Sorry, you gotta do the research and look at what we're looking at.
And I said it'll be from either the first or any of those days through the 6th. Man, they sound like a cable company. Yeah, just make sure you're home all hours from April 1st to April 6th. We'll be there at some point. And if we miss you, then you're gonna have to reschedule for a few months out.
Watch him do it on the 5th. Watch him do it 4 or 5.
That'd be interesting. 4-6 would also be interesting.
Yeah.
4-3 would be interesting. 4-2 would be interesting. All those dates. What do you know?
Maybe they'll do it a day later and go 4-7 for the 47. It'll be the 97th day of the year.
I mean, what do we got? Of course, we got a Kennedy in office, and they take off from Kennedy Space Center too with the big 33. Which, by the way, where I know it's in. Where in Florida is it though? I should know this because this has a lot to do with Jet Propulsion Laboratories and stuff. I've looked all this stuff up. No. Okay, Merritt Island, but okay. Orlando. I did know that. I knew that. Whoops.
It's accessible via I-95.
Yes, sir. Space Coast. But I didn't ever look at Merritt Island though. Interesting. Let's just real quick. I didn't plan on touching too much. 63 stands out. That's a Kennedy number. Am I tripping? Oops. John F. Kennedy's 69. What about John Kennedy? Oh, yeah. John Kennedy's the 46 that I was talking about. I mean, they have been syncing these things up with things from all last year. Dude, I'm just blanking all of a sudden. Jesus, what's that guy's name? Obviously, the Elon Musk saga has been going on. Obviously, this is an Elon Musk related thing, but Warner von Braun and NASA and paying tribute to all that whole paperclip thing, which was a Kennedy thing. So these are all related. And is it? No, JFK's 54. I don't know what. I swear there's a 63 associated with that. Is that like the year or something? Anyway. Yeah, this whole Artemis, which by the way, what is it? What number is it? Artemis 2, or is it? Yeah. Artemis 2. What a sick name. I'm not. Well, yeah. Each time I look at this, I want to start going in about the moon and stuff like that. But anyway, I do have one more mention before I pass it on to you. And this is more in tribute to my sister. I've mentioned this on a different episode with. I might as well put her up when this person exited stage left. I guess we can say what day it happened. February 26th, which was I might have mentioned it then too, but that it was her birthday as well that this happened. But anyway, one of my sister was pretty prominent on YouTube early on. She made edits of her favorite shows with music, with copywritten music before copyright was a thing. And she was wildly popular on YouTube because she was really good at it. She still is really good at it. But she eventually, her whole channel got taken down in one foul swoop, basically, from I think AMG Music or whatever that one is. They just swooped in on all of her channel because she had Linkin Park and all these other bands on there that eventually all signed a contract to not be able to be used, whatever that is. Anyway, this was Buffy was her favorite show. That's a long-winded way of putting it. But I also watched it all with her because back in the day, it also wasn't streaming everything. We had to rent from the library and go to Blockbuster. So any show was worth watching pretty much. And so I watched the entire series with her. She would watch them all the time. She would watch, she would replay episodes. She owned all the box sets. She would watch them all the time. And so I in turn, watched every episode with her. And after she's the first prominent person to die, but then we've also had this character die who was on in every single episode, but apparently one episode. And so he was a prominent figure in the show, this Nicholas Brendan guy. And he played Xander Harris, and kind of a boring guy in the show. I don't think anybody's favorite character was Xander. He's the only one that didn't have any like special characteristic or traits or became like a vampire or warlock or witch or nothing really ever happened to him that fun, if you will. But point being is, as soon as I found out that he died, after Michelle Trachtenberg, who played the Buffy's little sister Dawn, is the very final episode, which is very funny. I wish I could have documented this. I should have taken a screenshot, but when I was originally, I know it already, but it was just funny because AI was saying it and now it's not saying it. It like in this little detail, it said about what happened in the last episode. They like raise their city to the ground. They like, it looks like a meteor hit it. They like blow it up like atomic bomb. And because like a portal opened up and all the mega vampires were coming loose and they could all walk in the sun. And it was like a big battle. And he survives, and so does her sister. And at the very end, they're both holding hands and they like walk away together. So him and the other girl on the last episode called Chosen, which was the 144th episode of the show. The last episode, it went for 144 episodes. They were holding hands together and they like walked away and into the sunset together. So fitting that both of them are the ones that, that die. supposedly on this show. But there's some other interesting facts too, that this guy has a identical twin, and they would also like play each other's roles. So he's been in Buffy 2 different times. This character here, Kelly Donovan, he's been in playing as Xander 2 different times. Just very odd. We talk about, born and bred to be. Well, like how many identical twins do you know in your life? They're pretty damn rare. So,
Right.
And there's some other things too, where he was talking crap about Sarah Michelle Gellar and Joss Whedon just days before he supposedly dies. So not sad as in tears, but the little clips I watched of him, he ballooned. He was like a big fat dude. And he was just like living in the past. He was just like, no, like if they were like, dude, he got huge and fat, and he's talking about like them reprising his character and bringing him back for the this new series that's coming up. Because remember when we talked about the Michelle Trachtenberg girl that they're bringing back about, but not to mention that Zach covered this. He did a great video on it. But Ready or Not, a new movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar came out the day he died. Ready or Not 2. And that's a movie about like the elite setting up like killing games and like inviting people over to, it's like a hunting kind of thing. Anyway, I haven't seen them, but maybe it's worth watching them. But very interesting stuff. Obviously, check out Zach's channel if you haven't. If you're looking for more information on this Nicholas Brendan story, he's done a couple of follow-ups, but along with a great video already. But yeah, I just want to point that out, just because just in tribute to my sister, and just if she's still watching out there.
He turns 55 the day of the Bristol race too. So.
Oh, good point. Yeah, on a Sunday.
We got that April birthday, April 12th, 54 right now. For another 2 weeks, be 55.
And there's just so much media about like people who fake their deaths and have a twin. It's interesting. I don't think he could fake his. Who knows? Like, it's just like people who have seen him in the media. He hasn't been active in the like fan section, other than like online, other than just very recently where he put out like a few videos and he's this big fat dude. So he could have been wearing a fat suit. Like, that's something you would be willing to do if you were going to fake your death. You would put prosthetics on and look like another person. Meanwhile, who would know if it wasn't his brother the entire time?
Yep.
Just something to think about. I don't, not to get into that and like sit here and theorize on it. That's not the point, but it is interesting. It is. There's a lot of like weird ancillary details. Like, he had been super quiet, and then he's been on Dr. Phil before. It's just he is a very, very, not to mention. Okay, this is his brother. Hold on. Bruh. Nicholas Brendan, bro. Never mind wearing the dress. They had this fool. In Big Gay Love. No. No.
Oh man.
This is not something I needed to know about, but yeah, he was one of the love interests of Big Gay Love. So he paid his, he signed his contract. That's
I was gonna say, yeah.
So yeah, an overweight gay man who, that wasn't him, that's the other guy. But yeah, probably worth a watch. There's probably a lot of esoteric stuff in there, so I gotta watch it. I gotta do my research. No, I'm just kidding.
I love Big Gay Love. It's my favorite movie.
I'm gonna say my favorite movie. Let's see, it's Big Gay Love, and then everything else is just.
I just binge watch Big Gay Love all day long.
See, I didn't see it. I'm like, tell my sister, I'm like, were you really a fan of this guy if you haven't seen Big Gay Love at least 4 times? It's like, what about all the stuff you missed on the third watch? It's like, you got to watch it again. Anyway. So, yeah, Big Gay Love, one of his bigger banger hits. Anyway, just a little bit of brevity there, but I'll probably end up calling my sister and telling her to check out the episode if she hasn't. Just for that, just for the Big Gay Love. But yeah, obviously, if you guys have any more details, race related, anything else we've talked about, airport related,
Little related.
yeah, just Big Gay Love related, keep that to yourself. But other than that, hit us with anything else we've talked about, or also still, maybe people aren't making this far. Maybe I got to do it at the beginning of the episodes. Maybe I already screwed up. Not enough, but next week we're not going to have a race. I'm sure we'll still have a couple things to cover, potentially about something. Maybe looking forward, we'll put a half hour like we usually used to do into looking forward to next race and seeing if we spot anything. Other than that, we've kind of thrown the line out to you guys to give us some ideas on what to cover. I have a couple of things in the works. Hopefully I get at least a day in total to sit down and at least get like a mini presentation together. If I can do that, I know that we can bounce off of each other for a hot minute about certain topics, but there's a couple of things that have been on the back burner. One of those being something I didn't know if it was going to be for this episode or not, or for this next episode, but I've been planning it for an episode potentially with Spam Wave and King Richard, and we've talked about doing a big Masonic super show type of thing. But then also, it'd be nice to have some sort of reprisal on the Nirvana situation. Maybe even go into some of the things we've been recently talking about in greater detail, centered around Nirvana for obvious reasons. That episode being on 4 or 5. So yeah, but anyway, the line's out there, guys. So now's the time, as early as you can. If you have suggestions, get them in, and we'll try to fit your guys' ideas in. Or if you want to join us on the episode, that's an even better idea. Hit us up, and we'll see what we can make happen. But yeah, without further ado, it is getting pretty late into the episode. We're going to pass it on down to Austin for his last little rally here, and then we're going to close up shop. So, floor's yours, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. That was another great episode. Great tie-ins from last week and this week, and putting it all together. And yeah, we're on the cusp of some really big things, and I'm really interested to see how April will play out. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably get something from the 1st to the 5th to talk about, anyways, next week. But yeah, I really want to just end tonight with. I'm not really sure how I want to put it, but this week was pretty big too. I mean, all the things that have been going on. Obviously, I started my investment over a month ago. It's slowly but surely taken off, but I mean, it's not going to be anything, until a year or 2, 3 from now when it really turns into something big. But I'm watching it grow day by day, and like I said, my only regrets with it, is just not getting started sooner and not. Putting a little bit more in, but I mean, I can add more at any time and stuff, and I can change and adjust that on the go. And we did have our, a month ago was crazy because I just started and I was new, and a month ago we didn't really have anything going, and then this week we actually had our own little group. Instead of going to other people's presentations and other people presenting and stuff, we actually have presentations now in our own little group that we're doing. We actually had our first one on Wednesday, ended up going. It was pretty good. So we got our own little place now to present stuff and bring people in. And we plan on doing stuff there twice a month, but once on a weekend, once during a weekday. And it's kind of open whenever, they're available too. I mean, since I'm, in it, I can, kind of go there anytime and, bring someone in or present something or go there and stuff. So it's kind of open up pretty much whenever, they're there and I can, get in. So it is pretty interesting, how fast this is taking off. And, it's where we were a month ago, where I was a month ago to where I am now. And, like I said, this just started in, January of 2025. So it's still pretty, well, I mean, it was out before then, but it just came to the United States in January of 2025. And I didn't end up knowing about it till September, October 2025. So 9, 10 months passed. I had no clue what this was. I spent the October, November, December, January times, looking into this and researching and, not really knowing if this was something I was going to do. And, I could have got in there and, probably October, November, December. I first went to my first meeting about this in January. I went to the first one, my first presentation with this, and I ended up getting in a month later. So, that, it was a month's time right there as well. And, I spent my time, being, skeptical and waiting around and stuff and, doing research and looking at things. But, I really didn't lose a lot of time getting in because I still got in pretty early. I mean, 13 months after it came to the United States, I got in. So just over a year. I mean, so I'm pretty new. But, the crazy thing is, when I got in this, there was 600,000 people in this. Just a month. Yeah, I've been in for a month, a week, and about 3 days. And, that month, that week, that 3 days, a lot has changed and a lot has happened in that time. And we're now already up to like over 800,000 people. So we're going to go up over 1 million people in this here this month in April. We're going to go up over 1 million. And there are talks of it also probably not this year, but probably next year with the rapid growth and people getting in and stuff. That this is turn into something that goes public, and you don't want to wait till this goes public to get into it. So people that are interested that want to get in, I do recommend getting in sooner rather than later, for sure. And like I said, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, it's when I'm, depending on the state of the world and what happens and, whether or not, the cyber attack and the grid going down, all those things and the internet and all that stuff, if that doesn't end up happening, I'm going to be in, I should be in a great spot as long as, with all the people I'm around as well, with all the resources and money we'll have at that time. The people that, they got in and, if I would have got in, January of 2025, when this first started and say I would have put, $5,000 in, I'd be a millionaire right now. I'd have $1 million. If I would have just put in $500, 10 times less, in January compared to now, I mean, I'd have probably 70, 75, close to 100 grand. So, that's just the thing. And then 2 years, I mean, could go by and then you'd have $6 million. That's just the way this kind of thing works. And, I did actually end up ordering my debit card too, my crypto debit card Wednesday night. So it should be here, some point in the next couple weeks. But I mean, I don't plan on, like I said, taking anything out for probably at least a year or at least a long time. I just want to let my stuff compound and just keep, working my way up and stuff with it. And, the thing is, we did have a really good, get together for our first, our first own one of doing it by ourselves. It was a pretty good showing as well. And we had some great conversations. We're talking about, it's the fact that, I have this channel, we have this channel, we have this podcast and stuff. We're talking about, getting this on there and, this becoming, part of everything because, obviously, you're taking off in one area of your life. This is, and people around you, they're getting to where they need to go and you're getting to where you need to go and things are happening. So there's, you can't have like one thing that's going nowhere where one thing's like exploding because those things just kind of intersect and they don't really align. So it's like, obviously this would be, and obviously with the money and the time, I mean, if I have, millions of dollars, I'm not, working some slave job in the same spot I'm in right now. I mean, my life obviously would transform completely and what I'd be able to do with the work and the knowledge and, working as a team with other people that would have the money and the resources as well to do stuff. It's unlimited. I mean, I could present this stuff, on the go. I mean, I could present it there. I mean, I could be doing live streams, YouTube there at the building. I mean, I could be, who knows what we could be doing, in the near future with this, depending on how life in the world goes. But yeah, the possibilities right now are endless. And, we had really great conversations, about the future and, me possibly like, us getting like a limo or a vehicle to drive people around. And, I talk about like decorating it with like gematria stuff and like BG stuff and, you know, um, maybe like QR codes, like ways to just get this stuff out there, because obviously with the more money and, stuff you have and, the more you can really work stuff and get stuff out there, with not having the money and the power to, really get stuff out there besides pounding pavement or doing YouTube or whatever. Um, Obviously we're quite limited to what we can do in our reach. Uh, because obviously, it takes, hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars to do things. I mean, it's just the way it is. So, and most people don't have that, but, I'm not going to have that for, a long time at this point. So I'm not talking like in the next year, but in the next, who knows if we, 4 years from now, we're still doing all right. I mean, I'm going to be, who knows where I could be, who knows where this could be. And that was the other talk we're having too. It's like, with me trying to get people, in this and, help people out and do things, too. It's, you know, that's the other question we're talking about too. Not only just getting this on the podcast and making this become, part of what, we're all doing and making this all a big team effort. But the other thing is too, it's like, when is the time to, or, talking about time to like, either give up on things or walk away from things or change direction or, move on from people and stuff and things. And we were talking about this quite a bit, and we are coming into a time where things are, things have never been as interesting, and I've kind of been feeling this mixture of emotion lately, and I lately I've been doing a lot, I mean, I know I've been, battling like sickness and illness and sinuses and allergies for, and it's been kind of tearing me down, and it has been affecting my life and stuff too, but it's I'm trying to really make the most of what I have, and that's why I've offered people, I have just so much to offer. I've put my number out there for free, people to get a hold of me, my number's right in there, my email. Um, even if it's, you're not interested in the investment, you can still always talk to me about things, about anything. You can call me, you can text me, you can hit me up. Uh, whether it's, workout advice or investment or, just saying hi or just whatever. I mean, there's so many things that I can do to help people out. I mean, it's like having your own free personal trainer, an investment person, and all this and all that. And the thing is, I mean, I can't really make things any easier. Well, I mean, I just flat out can't make things any easier and give people the opportunities that I am giving people to, really get in and do something and, and try and, win in life or succeed or connect or make a difference. And, I mean, I have had, like I said, I've had one person hit me up about the thing when I first announced it that time. But other than that, they haven't followed through or followed up with me. So I don't know what's up with them. They're probably not going to do it. But, a big shout out to, Dale too, because, Dale, I know he's, is our big contributor. He's always emailing and stuff. And, he did hit me up with my number. He's been messaging me the last couple of weeks. So we've been having a great conversation and stuff. And, my number's been out there for like 4 weeks now. It's been out there for a whole month. And I know I've been sick and I've had other things going on and it's just been kind of a back and forth battle, but, yeah, I just, I am kind of the, the end of my road as far as what is we can do. And, I mean, this is just the thing, and there are no guarantees in life. I mean, there's no guarantees about anything the next, so many years and, or anything. But, I do want to see, I don't know. I guess it's just, it's more of just, maybe some people have like that victim mentality or maybe they feel like, they can't overcome things or they can't do things, or maybe, they're rightfully skeptical, like I am at times and I can be, but, that's just the thing. It's like, this channel, it's like being like a coach, it's like being a trainer, like I'm working with people one-on-one for free, to do whatever, and anything and everything. So it's like, we've been on here, like I said, we've been on here for almost 2 years already. That's a lot. We've been on here a long time, and we have had more people reach out to join the podcast and stuff, and that's great. And to come on, we have had that so far this calendar year. But even what we do, I mean, there's no saying how long this is going to last. I mean, there's no saying how long we have on here, and what we're all doing and stuff. And I would just like to see more people, try to, win and have a winner's mentality and kind of that champions mentality of just trying to do more with life, and just ways to, escape the slave grind, or just any ways I can help people out or talk to people, or just, just anything. And it's just, like you kind of said earlier too, it's kind of just, it's like, I'm just like almost too passionate, or I just have that, just that mentality of just, I want to win, and I want to, send things out there. I want to do things, and I want to get things going. And, it is, I do know I can just, everything right now that's going on in life in this year. I mean, everything is pointing to this year being that year. It's like, this is that year for me, where it's like, this is going to be my year no matter what. But it's like, I don't want it to just be my year. I mean, I see it like being kind of that last year, that last call to get out there. And, I want to see as many people answer it and give it a try as possible. I mean, I know the views haven't been super great, at least as of lately too. I mean, they've kind of been somewhat down, but, the subs really aren't growing, but it's, we've kind of tapered off. But that's just the thing too. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy with, the stuff that, you talk about and you present. But like I keep saying, I just really hope people appreciate and understand everything we've been talking about for the last, few months, how this is just, we're doing something that's just never been done. We're diving deep. We're doing things on an unprecedented level. And I know there are people out there that do, that do like it and do appreciate it and do respect it. And there are people out there that, obviously do, like and leave comments, and, are, very good, people in the community. So, I mean, it's not like we don't have that, but there's definitely this like weird, eerie vibe too. And I know King Richard's channel has been really dead. There's really not a lot of action over there. Zach's has been pretty dead. I know he's got the Patreon, which is really the main thing. I'm on the 20, but I'm never, in his live chat or whatever. When I want to go bed, I'll go bed. I'll use the knowledge. But to me, it's more of just supporting Zach more than anything. When I want to take advantage, I'll take advantage. But I'm not, I'm never really in there. I know he's doing live big streams on it now and stuff too. It's like, I don't know. Is that like maybe, where I need to like, we need to just, I'm just trying to think out loud, what to really do. I try to look at like, all of this is, this is like our community and stuff, but it's just weird too. Cause like the conversations I was having on Wednesday and everything we were talking about, this really, it felt like the community should have been there. Like when I was there, that's what I kept thinking about, was the community and us and everything that we've been talking about. Like, we like, this was like a conversation that should have been had like on the channel almost. Like it should have been almost like the whole thing should have been like an episode itself, is how it felt. Really is what it felt like. And that's just like, and it's just, it's weird. Cause, and then it's like, I'm just, I'm sitting here and, they're, we talk about so many things in the future and, what I might be doing, possibly driving, a tuxedo and a limo and stuff around, and who knows where things could be depending on things. But, that's just, and this is just, the way I'm looking at things too. I mean, like I said, I mean, you could say it's more of just my personality or my type or my trait or, how I'm, going about life or looking at life or thinking about things. But, at the same time, I really don't think I'm far off with anything. I mean, we've, like I said, 80 episodes. We've been on here a year and a half. We've put out, so much content, so many things we've talked about. And the community as it is, I mean, the people that are attracted, that watch the episodes, that are involved, you know, there's it's pretty consistent for the most part. I mean, again, not everyone is going to like what we have, but again, there's nobody else in the world doing what we're doing. And this is the best work that's just ever been done. And we just keep topping it every week. So at the same time, I mean, you know, again, you're not going to make everybody happy, but you know, I just, you know, it's weird. It's a very weird feeling I have, because I am excited and I am like optimistic, you know, with the future and stuff. But then, you know, it is kind of hard to imagine all this and fathom it. But then it is like, okay, yeah, where are we really going to be? And what is the future of the channel and stuff? Because like I said, you know, the goal is to obviously, you know, do everything you can. And, you know, with the future of what I could possibly have, you know, the state of YouTube and censorship and the shadow banning by then, who knows? But, you know, maybe we're not even on here anymore. Maybe we get kicked off after this year and this is it. I mean, that's the way it's kind of looking anyways. But, you know, there is a crossroads to all this. And that's the point I'm trying to really get to people is, you know, you don't have a lot of people, I think, are, you know, they're kind of stuck in their old ways. They want, you know, they're thinking of the old world, the old ways of doing things, while, you know, that's all going away. People thinking they're going to survive off their 22 an hour job, and they're going to have this pension, and they're, you know, or they're, you know, barely getting by as it is, and they're happy with it, and they're happy with the world and the system and their life. So, you know, you have a lot of people in different, you know, alleyways and boats and in areas. And, you know, I just, I don't know. It's just a very weird moment right now. It's a very weird time. And it's just like, you know, I don't want to be the only person that kind of feels like I'm, you know, and again, I'm not the kind of person, I don't tell anybody how to live their life and what to do. And, you know, but at the same time, I know I have things to offer. So it's like, I'm just, you know, it's just weird how I just don't really see, like, there's barely any traction with the offer. And I'm just like trying to figure out why. And that was kind of the talk too on Wednesday night, was like, okay, why isn't this person why is this person checking this out? Like, what's going on with all this? There is this weird energy vibe type deal going on right now too. And I can't put my finger on either. I mean, things are getting very weird. We are entering a very weird time. And, you know, I just think it's like, you know, for us to be, you know, to even, you know, envision a future. I mean, like I was saying, I can't remember, it was like a few episodes ago, we're talking about, you know, like the next 4 years, how different the last 4 years, like 2022 to now, was like night and day difference. The next 4 years is going to be that same difference times 100, because things don't just add, they multiply. The changes multiply. It's like my investment, it multiplies. It just, this becomes that. It's just, that's how it is. Things multiply, they don't just add. And I'm just, you know, I'm just looking at the future, you know. And it's just, and anyone that, you know, thinks, oh, we don't have another few years, I mean, you could absolutely be right. You know, you absolutely could be right. Maybe we don't have another, maybe this is going to be it. Maybe this is year it's done, or it's done next year, or 2028 or 2029, or it's too late. That all very well could be true, and you absolutely could be right. But at the same time, it's like, why not at least try anyways? Why not at least try and do something anyways? And I kind of feel like that's really been the point of, you know, even starting this and doing this at the time we've done it, you know, because it's like, yeah, we started in times of heavy shadow banning and, you know, very hard to get information out and get views and do things. And it was already very difficult in 2024, and it's only gotten a lot worse since 2024. But, you know, the thing is, it's like, you know, there's still other avenues. There's still other ways. There's still other things to offer. There's still ideas. There's still things that can be done. And that's the point I'm trying to get at. Like I've said, you know, next week is 4 or 5. It's April 5th. You know, there should be anywhere from 10 to 100 people going out to Pike's Place out in Seattle to talk about all the 4, 5, 95s, Kurt Cobain, everything we've been talking about. That there should be no less than 10 to 100 people that are teamed up with us going out there. And yet, there's just nobody. So it's like, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I don't mean to say like necessarily like wit's end, but I'm kind of just like, I don't know at this point. Like, I don't know if people just don't really see or care about the urgency of things. Like, you just don't really have forever. You don't have the time that you think you have. And I think a lot of people they're in for a rude awakening. The things that a lot of people, like I said, they're good with just getting by, and they don't think things are ever going to change and things are going to go down. And, I'm always looking ahead at what's coming. And, like I said, it's just, I've always been more of a doer. I'm not much of a talker. I'm just more of a doer. I just, I'm spending so much time, at the trampoline park and out running and working out at the gym and doing things and staying active and pushing myself. I got people everywhere I go that are, talking to me and, notice me and say hi and do things and, get a vibe and an aura off. But, you can't really do that, unfortunately, with the internet and YouTube and videos, or pictures. You can't get that. You can't capture that like I can when I'm out and about doing things and, people see me and, there's that vibe. You can't get that off this. And that's that's the unfortunate part. But, yeah, I'm just, just thinking out loud. And, it's like I said, I don't look, it's just, I just see it as kind of something that's just kind of the way maybe it's just the way I'm wired or the way I am or the way I think or my mentality or my mindset or the way my worldview or how I see life or how I see things. But, I kind of have just that, that go-getter mentality because you have nothing to lose and it's time to go. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm just looking around. It's like I'm the only guy that's like really going and really doing something. It's so weird. Like I've said too, how many times, I go out to these things and it's like I'm the only guy there too. When there was like some person that brought their son to that thing on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I was the only guy there. It was all women. It's very weird. I mean, when we go to the other ones, there's guys, obviously there's men and stuff, obviously with the bigger presentations and other people and stuff. But to have when I first went up to sign up for this in February, it was just all women. And then when we had our first one, our first thing all together, it's all women. It's just, I'm like, what is this? It's just, I don't know. It's a weird time. Things are getting weirder. And, yeah, I just, I don't feel like I'm in the wrong for what I'm saying. I don't feel like I'm like off left field. I feel like I'm looking at things pretty like realistically from a pretty open-minded and honest standpoint of like what to have expectations for and what to kind of know and what to kind of feel and think and what to kind of vibe with. And yeah, I just, I hope people, enjoy the things we talk about and appreciate it, but also like really hear and understand like where I'm coming from at this point. Cause I mean, and who knows what's about to really go down this month of April. We know they're about to really turn things on now at the real start of the new year, and anything's possible. And all the things we've been pointing out and talking about, I mean, none of it's going to go away, and it's only just going to keep, it's just going to keep coming. It's just going to keep multiplying. It's going to keep getting bigger. So, yeah, I just, and obviously I do want to, I don't want to, bombard people with certain things either, but I do want to like push things and get things out there enough that people do, maybe they missed something or they maybe you didn't even know my number was in there. Maybe you didn't know my emails, or maybe you didn't know about my investment. Maybe you didn't know that I'll talk to you or text you or call you or whatever. Maybe you didn't know I could give you this advice, or maybe you weren't even thinking about this or thinking about that. So it's like, I'm trying to just be productive at this point in my life. Like, I see, this is the time to be productive and time to do things, and it's time to make moves. And I just don't want to be the only person that's in that boat that's doing that. And that's, I'm just trying to help others out and get people on the right track. And I know there's people out there that know where I'm coming from, but yeah, I just think it's something that just need to be said.
No, it's if you feel like the onus is on you to say something, it's your responsibility to speak up, and I appreciate that. And yeah, that's something that's missing in this world too. Is like you mentioned, the kind of the inactivity. I won't say necessarily the generation, but just like of people as a whole. It's something that I'm sure other people can resonate with and feel and understand. And yeah, they're pushing us into that meta, and that's before you know it. The walls are going to close in, and they already are closing in. It's just that a lot of people need to feel the feel the boiling to understand they're in the soup. And so yeah, great potential opportunity. And even if you guys aren't necessarily wondering about the opportunity, it doesn't hurt to ask. But like he said, the number's there to have Discord with them as well, and discourse with them. And yeah, you use the opportunities that are, or at least inquire about opportunities, because I think he's coming from a place where it's kind of the way I feel. It's like in my life, nobody's ever just come up to me and offered me anything great ever, like ever. I've seen it happen to other people, and I'm not an envious person. It's not good for you, but I think this world with the make it easy route is jaded people and or mesmerized people more than it has had people sincerely look into it. And what you're offering is a sincere look in, and you want people to take that opportunity. It's partially do it for yourself, partially come along for the ride. And yeah, it's worth looking into. It's worth checking into and checking in with you about it, because you're like you've mentioned, you're an asset on the journey, or even with the speculation about it. So
Yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, I'm gonna be 31 in a month. It'll be my 32nd year of life. I've been around a long time already, and I've never had anything that I've ever done that's ever worked or got me anywhere, done anything. And now I finally, after all this time, after all these years, have finally got something, found something, and I'm doing something that actually is for the first time ever. And that's what a lot of people in the community that I've talked to about this they're all saying. It's the first time ever that but they've ever been able to have success something, or been able to make something of themselves, or have something go right. It's the first time ever for me. I mean, I've never had anything, and that's the other thing too. I mean, not only is this the first time and the first thing that's ever worked and is slowly starting to take off, but I've never, like I said, I've never had anybody in my life be able to offer me basically kind of all these things, just kind of just being out there and being gutsy with things, and just trying to really try and get and really that cares that much about other people, and want other people to do things and win, and do better and succeed. And I've never had anybody, and like I said, I mean, I do all this for free. I mean, I don't know too many people that have the balls to put their number out there for free and stuff. I mean, and some people maybe not like that or think it's a dumb move, but that's just where I am at this point. Like I don't care. I mean, what do I have to lose anything? It's just, that's where I am. Like, I'm just like, it just is what it is. And it's, I've never had anybody just like, here's my number, here's my email, here's ways to make money, here's this, here's that, here's some, workout advice, here's your free personal trainer. I mean, nobody else does that. I mean, nobody that I know of acts or does that. And I'm doing all this for free. I mean, there's no Patreon here. You don't got to pay for nothing. I mean, everything I'm telling you it's right on the money. It's success. I'm doing it myself. I'll help you out. So it's like, that's just the point, the message. And yeah, hopefully it's loud and clear, and hopefully we do have more people answer the call.
well put. Like that. Answer the call. Well, you heard it here first. And thank you for sticking around and listening to his message as well, if you did make it. And sincerely hope that anybody that got the 2 mentions earlier in the show, that they at least come back to the video to catch the end and hear your message there, and hopefully do something about it and hit you up. Hopefully you get some more hits on that. And yeah, with that being said, this will be the close of this episode. One more reminder that next week is kind of an open concept at this point. So any ideas you guys have, please do get them in, and we'll try to make some moves on it. And yeah, with that being said, hope you guys have a great week, and yeah, we'll see you on Kurt Cobain Day.
Yep. Cobain Day's coming. The big 4-5. Lane Staley is as well. Got 32 years of Kurt and 24 of Lane Staley, so it'll be a big one. So it's a big celebration coming in a week. 95th day of the year.
Get your sparklers and your, what are those little kazoo type things out?
Yeah, the kazoo. Get the kazoo out.
All right, guys, take it easy. Hopefully we see you next week, and yeah, have a great one.
Peace.